Hello and welcome to the show today. Thank you for all that are making every effort to join us for tonight's discussion on Bay TV. I believe you had a great day and it's continuing to get better. It is time for all of us to have a rethink and a re-evaluation of what we call in the country party politics, even as we get set to warming up for the 2022 general elections. One of the major stakeholders in these general elections are our political parties. And we have had a lot of names and names being put forth as political parties. We have had that have called theirs is a national party. Others are saying others are outfits. And others are saying some political parties are personal property. Well, we need to look at this in depth. We air different views from different people from different corners of this great nation. And let's come to terms with the reality of where we are and what we must do in order to make this nation great by ensuring that our principles and our values are upheld as far as our politics are concerned. Thank you to those of you that are joining. Nyari Jane Otieno, thank you very much. We appreciate you. Wakara wa Kiumo, Gachojo, thank you so much. We salute you. Karibu, Jala Ruth, we salute you. Thank you so much. Keep inviting guys to jump into the discussion as we look at party politics. Our have been given all manner of definitions, but what do we end up with? We have a general election to conduct. Is a requirement for to either belong to a political party, majority of course, and then there is independence available, independent candidate according to our constitution, and so the only ways to participate in the general elections, the major stakeholders in the general elections are parties, political parties for that matter. So what constitutes a national political party and then tribal outfit and then personal property? I want us to dive into that so that all understand, because many are just falling for sweeping statements that our politicians throw out on the platform. We end up pegging our definition of what a political party is from what we have had from our politicians. But, there is the nitty-gritty of all needs to be done for us to be a democracy that is working. And the democracy that working, being a multi-party democracy, needs to have strong political parties. So what constitutes a political party, and how do we end having a great nation by ensuring that our political parties are according to the constitution and are functioning the same way? Well, Buisa M. Buisa, how are you? Please unmute and speak.
I'm good, Mr. Bernard.
Karibu sana. Hali vipi huko?
Hali hapa Kiambaa iko sawa. Sijaona baya. So I don't know if it is time for submission or maybe it's a preliminary just to say hi, then we give other way, or we can submit our views.
You can give a brief overview of whatever you would love to, so then we'll come back to it.
Okay. As per me, in Kenya, we then let us not be like a proverbial ostrich. We bury our heads in the sand by saying that Kenya is so democratic. Kenyan politics is based on tribal, and it's correct to say that Kenya politics is when we approach an election, it's like tribal groups coming together and to weigh out or to see what they will be getting, then they support that group. For example, now that we know, and it is more than clear that we are having two horse race, that is Raila Molo Odinga and William Samuel Ruto. These other tribes, they'll be there just to sum up or to marinate. For example, if you want to see that if you want to see that Kenya politics is based on tribal, you can see how many political rallies are taking place in Mount Kenya. Now that there's no a substantial presidential runner in the mountain region, so every politician or the political presidential aspirant is running up to mountain region so that they can try their best to who the voters at the mountain. What does this tell us? It's that politics in Kenya is, we cannot separate politics in Kenya with the tribal alignments, and we cannot lie ourselves that there's a political party that is a national one. Every political party has its roots. For example, we have now the sprouting of UDA. And let no one cheat you, and ODM. Let no one cheat you that there's any party, the one that I've just mentioned, UDA, ODM, ANC, Ford Kenya. Let no one cheat you that they are a national political party. They have origins. For example, ODM is perceived to be a Nyanza political party. Its roots is in Nyanza. UDA, its roots is particularly in Rift Valley, and in that matter is South Rift. And ANC is more or less a Luya party. You can see is from Western. So we cannot run away from discussing the fact that political party and Kenyan politics is based and built on basing on tribal lines. So the earlier we understand that, the better, because we cannot just run around saying that there's a national political party. Let no one come here and tell us that there's a national political party here in Kenya. No. Unlike
Mr. What concerns a national political party? Because you are distinct every party we have in this country and making them tribal. Are you the one making them tribal, or you are defining them according to criteria?
You know, for example, let's take, for example, let me give you a good example of a national party, or the country which they have examples of national parties. And that is, maybe somebody will come in and tell me that I've gone too far. But America, for example, they have Democrat and Republican, right? When you see how they do their voting, you will see the red and blue, they are just mixed up, not like in states. Maybe there's a subdivision, maybe Arizona and Pennsylvania. You'll see the mixture of the colors. And sometimes we have this, what we call swing counties, swing states, and they normally interchange. Maybe this time round, maybe you may find that Republican have taken over. The other election, we see that the Democrats have taken over. So if you want to test, use litmus paper on knowing that these are national party, you see how it is distributed in Kenya. For example, ODM, yes, it is perceived to be a national party, but you see that in some region you not get the orange there, and the same the same to Jubilee. Let's not drag UDA to this discussion, because it was born the other day. Talk, for example, for Jubilee. Jubilee you can say that it was a national party, but you will not find it in another corner of the country. So in Kenya, politics and political party are based on tribal alignments. Yeah, that is my
Okay,
submission.
Buisa, thank you for your opinion. We look forward to interacting more. Let's hear from Omar Odero. Party politics. Omar Odero, how are you?
Naingia sasa kidogo tu, si kama hapa inaonekana ama niko kwa giza. Habari ya kutoka kuanzia jana.
Tuko salama, karibu. Toa maoni dakika 2-3.
Nilikuwa naendelea kuhusu hiyo mada ya mwenzangu amezungumza kuhusu Kenya. Kenya, huyu jamaa anaitwa William Ruto kusema ati national party yani chama ya watu wote, hiyo amejidanganya, kwa sababu ukiangalia hii UDA ni ya nani? UDA kila mtu anajua ni ya Mkalenjin, na Mkalenjin ni ya Ruto totally, na amekaeka watu hapa kila modhama, sijui nani ule akachukua mama kutoka Central akaficha hapo, akachukua sijui nani, lakini tunajua
subiri kwanza. Mbona wewe unasema ni ya Mkalenjin? Nini kinafanya hicho chama kiwe cha Mkalenjin? Unajua mimi mnaniambia kinaona, lakini mnipatie the underlying what makes a political party a party or a regional party.
Ile kitu inafanya hiyo UDA inakuwa ya Wakalenjin, kitu ya kwanza, ndani ya hiyo chama yenyewe ina ukabila, na kitu ya pili, hiyo chama mwenye anaiongoza hiyo chama William Ruto ana ubinafsi. Ukitaka kuangalia politics ya William Ruto, ile maneno alikuwa anazungumza 2017, mambo ya sijui atajenga viwanja, sijui atajenga fanya nini. Yani ukimwangalia mwenyewe William Ruto ni master kwa propaganda. Yani propaganda ako nazo nyingi sana, yani ni ile watu waweze wakamwamini. Na ukiangalia kweli katika siasa ya huu jamaa yetu sasa, watu kuboeka na yeye, watu wameanza kuboeka na yeye kwa sababu kila kitu moja ile alikuwa anawazungumza jana anazungumza leo, sijui bottom up, sijui nini, yani anarudia mavitu, sijui 100 billion, sijui 50 billion, yani ile kazi ya kutenga, sijui anasema anatenga, sijui tutatengewa paka lini hiyo pesa, kwa sababu watu wamechoka sasa hivi. Yani wamemjua yeye ni mrongo, kwa sababu ile mambo ya Jubilee wakati alikuwa anazungumza hakuna kitu wamefanya, ni mambo ya ufisadi imejaa, mambo nchi imekuwa na shida kwa ajili yake. Wakati handshake ilipatikana, utapata president amejaribu sana kurekebisha hii nchi, amesaidiwa na majeshi, yani amejaribu wakati amefanya handshake, amejaribu kuleta yani ile sura ya Kenya pale ilikuwako at least. Lakini wakati alikuwa na huyo jamaa, kwanza Nairobi ilikuwa imeparara. Ukiona Nairobi vile kila kichochoro ilikuwa imeoza, akikuwa na huyo Sonko wake huyo, hakuna kitu alikuwa anafanya, ni uporaji na utapeli. Anaambia wengine ni matapeli, yeye ndio mtapeli mkubwa sana. Na unajua watu husema unaweza kudanganya binadamu, lakini hautadanganya sana, kwa sababu chochote unazungumza, watu wanakuangalia uso tu, inaonyesha ile kitu unazungumza kwa uso yako, watu wanajua wewe ni mrongo. Yani hata mkiangalia siasa zake vile anachapa, ni kama sahi ameanza kuchoka. Hata vile anazungumza, maskini namuonea huruma, anaanza kuchoka paka koo inaisha. Ile mambo yote amezungumza, yani amezunguka Kenya mzima, paka anatafuta ile kitu atazungumza. Sasa amechoka. Vile president alikuwa anasema utakimbia, lakini baadaye utafika mbele utachoka. Maskini hata ukimuona vile anazungumza amechoka. Hiyo tu nilikuwa nataka kuzungumza.
Okay, asante Omari kwa maoni yako, shukuru kwa mchango wako. Yegon Kipkoskei Hillary, vipi ndugu yangu? Mute, unmute, you're still mute. Yes, Yego, sema maneno.
Si maneno mie. Nimesikia ndugu yangu Wadero hapo vile. Hello?
Samahani, endelea, kuna mtu alikuwa hajamute.
Okay. Sasa Bwana Bernard, what we are saying, I want to disagree. Nataka ni disagree na Odero kabisa kwa kusema kwamba akisema chama cha UDA is a tribal party, then he is actually wrong, kwa sababu if we talk of parties, okay, anything must have its source. UDA tunaweza sema imetokana na mtu ambaye ni wa Rift Valley, who is a Kalenjin. But then ODM again, its origin is somebody from Nyanza who is a Luo. Jubilee was a party whose origin was from somebody from Central who is a Kikuyu. So if we say that this party is a tribal party, then obviously we are going to categorize all the parties to be tribal parties. So what we are saying, Bernard, we want to make these parties to take a national figure. Sio party ya village, sio party ya mtu mmoja. Gari hununuliwa na mtu mmoja, hata ile Nissan yenye inafanya kwa barabara. Lakini watu wenye watabebwa na Nissan yenyewe sio watu wa yule mtu peke yake. Kila mtu anabebwa kwenye gari hilo.
Kwa jina huyo mwenye gari. Pinja wa logbook.
Umesema namna gani ndugu?
Nasema Nissan inaweza kila mtu, lakini logbook registration hiyo gari iko kwa jina ya mtu mmoja kama vipi?
Yeah, it is obvious. Unajua hii ni kitu that is obvious. You cannot tell me that you are expecting a party to be owned by all people in the Republic of Kenya. Kumbuka, having a party in Kenya, it is a business idea. Wacha nikwambie, because lazima kuna kitu yenye ita gain na kuna kitu yenye inalenga. For example, wakati unaanzisha chama kama hii chama yetu ya UDA ilianzishwa kwa sababu William Ruto akona intention ya kupitia hii chama aingie serikalini kama as the president. ODM was created, its intention was actually to steer a campaign towards attaining that seat ya presidency. Any other political party when it is being formed, it's obvious that iko na malengo yake. Again, wacha nikuje kwa jambo ambalo Odero amesema, William Ruto is deceiving people. Ama is actually doing what we call propaganda. I don't know if I'm the one who is not understanding the meaning of the word propaganda. Unajua kuna tofauti ya kuwa mwongo na kuwa mfitina, kutembeza maneno. Unaona? Propaganda ni kitu yani you are trying to create a scene out of what happened. You are bringing the opposite of what happened. That is propagating something. But then what William Ruto is doing, everybody, hata sahi Odero mwenyewe apewe chama leo, apewe all requirements yenye inahitajika, hata apewe funding, aambiwe can you run for a certain seat. Obviously yeye hatakosa kitu ya kusema, na chenye atakuwa anasema anahisi kutoka kwa moyo wake kwamba hii kitu fulani na kitu fulani inafaa kufanywa. Lakini unajua ndugu yangu, acha nikwambie, mambo haya yote mtu akishaingia kwa serikali ndiye ataanza kushangaa, kumbe ile maneno yote nilisema kufanya hapa ndani ni ngumu. Don't think that kuingia kwa serikali useme tutapatiana 6,000, tuta create 4 million jobs, tutafanya nini. It is not an easy job. It will also take us years to reach there. Remember, this is a country, unajua sisi we are in a third world country. Kila kitu bado ina develop pole pole. Najua shida yetu wa Afrika, when you are told to do this, unaona as if somebody wants to take advantage or somebody wants to be opportunistic. Tungesema leo tunataka tufanye jambo hili na kila mtu aingie hiyo njia na tukubaliane ya kwamba let us do this, then everything could be well. Lakini sasa unataka kusema saa hii, unaona Raila Odinga anataka kupigania presidency, tunasema huyu jamaa atakuja kufinya nani, aya Ruto anataka kuwa presidency, hapana, huyu ni Arap Mashamba atakuja kuchukua shamba gani sijui nini. Who told you that these things will happen? So when we are talking about party politics, I don't agree if we say that these parties are actually tribal. So ana kila mtu ako na haki ya kupeana sera zake hisi kwamba akipewa nafasi anaweza kufanya nini. Unajua na nini, kama wakati unakatia mrembo, unaambia mrembo, if I win you. Yes.
Wewe umetuambia kwamba chama ni kama Nissan.
Yes.
Unanunua alafu naweka kwa barabara. Hivyo ndivyo katiba inaruhusu vyama vya kisiasa vya Kenya. Kama matatu alafu imewekwa kwa barabara, watu wengi.
Unajua kwanza, kuna requirements before you form a party. There are some requirements that you have to meet in the party. First of all, as the owner of the party, lazima party ikuwe na shares of around 300 million. You see, so you can know that hii party inaweza jiendesha in the whole country, haiwezi hitaji mipango zingine za kando ndio iweze kufanya mambo yake. So ni kama gari.
What is the source of your information? 300 million.
Yes. What are you saying, brother?
The party should have 300 million shares. From where? Where are you getting that information from?
From the registrar of parties. Don't worry about this. Relax.
No. I want you to if it's the register of political parties, I want us to hear, and we'll go and counter check.
Okay, you can do some research. Let me give you that one as an assignment. But then you should know a party is not just being formed like a WhatsApp group. Yeah? That is why, let me tell you, up to now, as Odero has spoken, amesema UDA ni ya William Ruto. But I want to assure you that as we are speaking now, William Ruto doesn't have any party in the Republic of Kenya. William Ruto doesn't own any party in the Republic of Kenya. People who own parties are known, and William Ruto is not one of them. William Ruto is a potential politician mwenye alionekana huyu mtu tukipatia yeye aendeshe hii chama. Mtu
Yes,
mwenye
bro. Asante sasa kiasi
Bernard,
hapa.
Bernard, Diego is a typical UDA propagandist. So can we take him on? I want to rebut.
Okay, let's hold on. Since they were opening remarks, I want to have a rebut now. Let's go to James.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
Doing great. Karibu sana.
Yes. I want to say this. Unanisikia?
Sasa endelea mzee.
The only political party that existed as a national party is Kenya African National Union, KANU. And part of the reason is that there was no other alternative but to be in that party. Now, of course, today's parties, there is a requirement that the parties should reflect a national outlook. But the question you ask yourself is this: how do you prove that a party, a political party, is national? Political parties in Kenya are about pushing interests. And communities have known that perhaps they can be able to push their interests better. That is why every region wants to have its party. Why? Because the experience so far is that you could easily be kicked out of the party midstream. And it's not a very good experience for those who have gone through it. Now, we know that there are politicians who form political parties for commercial purpose. You want to collect nomination fee across the country. What comes to mind for me was what we were calling tip-tip by the late Kalembe Ndile. Kalembe Ndile did not have an office. What he did was to buy a Nissan. During nomination, you just dial, call him. He would tell you the fee that you are going to be holding in your hands, and you would deliver the certificate where you are. So political parties are formed for purposes of contesting elections. Some are formed for commercial purpose. But also, again, there are those who have used the political parties deceptively. The other day, we had the former Speaker of National Assembly, Ore Kabaro, complain that they formed URP with the understanding that it was a party that would advance the interest of the pastoralists. But the chief pastoralist, once he got to power, he forgot that pastoralists do not just exist within his home area. They are elsewhere. There are Masais, there are Samburu, there is Turkana, and others. So when he got positions to distribute in government, he forgot the others. So what does that tell you about political parties? These are the reasons why you find many people are very wary when you go to join a political party formed by somebody from another region, because you may not know exactly what the interests are. Right now, what is happening in central Kenya, and it is going to shock very many people, and the talk has already started, is that you cannot just go into somebody's house and expect to be treated well. So what you are hearing there about UNDA is just something that will dissipate within a very short time, and you will hear perhaps of one or two very strong parties to push the interest of that area. Whoever wants the votes of Mount Kenya will have to meet midstream with those political parties. Of course, UDA may get one or two seats or thereabouts in the area, but I can assure you the feeling that it is not safe, let me put it that way, to go into somebody else's political party and think that you are going to be secure therein is very strong. And that is why you can see the key political movers of the region, the likes of Keraito, the likes of Munya, the likes of Jerundwiga, and many others. They are quiet. They are not foolish. They know what is going to happen. And it will happen certainly once the Supremo of the region talks, one Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So political parties are just vehicles. Unfortunately, in the Kenyan context, they mean very little. You can wear one shirt today and dispense with it tomorrow. That's why you are going to find most politicians have gone through more than 5 parties, because they mean nothing really. They are just vehicles to make you contest for power, and then you move on. You don't stick at one place. And it's going to be that way for quite a long time, because political parties in Kenya have no ideological differences. They are just outfits to push the interest of the community and individual interests, nothing more. So when somebody tells you that this and the other is a tribal party, that's a hypocrite. The same person is actually the tribal leader that he is, because once you secure power through the political party you are telling people to join, you forget others, and you only put people from your region in government. This has been experienced, and nobody wants to take the risk anymore. That's why you can see people having a situation where they want to have their own political party. Call it tribal, call it national, doesn't matter. So this is the reality. It's going to be with us for quite a long time. Not unless the youth starts changing the political culture of the country. But I don't see it happening. Perhaps in the next maybe 10, 20 years. It will take time. Now, going to the contestants, the ones that we have. So far, I can say that out of the political personalities, Raila has done very well in terms of political party formation and administration. For a party in Kenya to exist for more than 10 years consistently and have a very heavy presence in parliament is not a joke. It only shows that there is a deeper organization that goes into that party. And not unless he mishandles the party, he is likely to leave a legacy of a party that can have a modicum of what you'd call a national party. Because although ODM has not won seats mainly in central Kenya, when you go and follow up the distribution of their MPs and other positions, you will find that they cut across the whole region. They are they are in the northeastern, they are in Coast Province, they are in Western, they are in Nyanza, there is Northern Kenya. So if that culture of that party is maintained, then I think it could take the place that KANU used to occupy. The other party, which I would not really call a party per se, was Jubilee. Jubilee was an amalgamation of many political parties. It was not a political party really, as we may call it. It was kind of a coalition. And that is why it disintegrated once the interests of those key people went differently. Well, ODM as a political philosophy, I hear they are social democrats. I'm yet to hear what the others envisage. KANU is African socialism. I do not know the new kid in the block, UDA. I hear it is advocating bottom up. I don't know what that is. Maybe they will tell us with time whether it is a philosophy or what it is. Otherwise, we are very far in terms of political development in Kenya. And that is why you find even briefcase political parties. Somebody has just a briefcase, carries papers around, asking people who would want to contest using their political party and nothing more. Beyond there is no physical presence in terms of offices, in terms of issues, in terms of agenda, manifesto. They are just mere registration papers at the political party's registration office with a few people who are friends, buddies, who meet over a cup of tea. So there is no really talking about national parties here. It is about outfits that push for the interests of mostly regional interests. Thank you.
No, but James, before you go,
Yes.
I want to ask, with the existence of development, okay?
Yes.
Target development of different regions, okay? Do we need? Hold on. Do we need
you are breaking.
regional parties? Oh, sorry.
I'm not getting you well.
Sorry. Okay. Let's hear from WE. I'll come back. Thank you. WE, if you can get me, take the floor.
Okay, Bernard. Good evening, everyone. Or good morning, wherever you are. I want to observe something about political parties. First of all, we should appreciate that this multipartism we are like less than 20 years into active multipartism, especially after the interference by KANU. That is President Moi, when he threw away the multipartism and brought the de facto one party in his tenure for the 24 years. So he threw out the multipartism that was observed before or during pre-independence agitation by freedom fighters. So when Moi came in, I think he he pushed it aside and decided to use one party state. So we are, especially the new leaders that came during Moi, that is during the 1980s, and those are the leaders that took over actively, either in government or as opposition after Moi regime, that is during Kibaki and now. So most of political parties are still struggling to find their equilibrium. They are still struggling to understand what it is that entails multipartism, the rules, and why the existence of multipartism as opposed to one single party. We are still struggling. That's the reason why people are misrepresenting multipartism. Even in the leaders of various parties themselves, they don't know how they should handle themselves, how they should use these parties. They are still struggling to come into terms. Many of them do not know the reason or the meaning of multipartism. And as James puts it, some of them have turned into, commercial vehicles because people want to get rich through it. But multipartism should be, areas or instruments to grow policies that helps to strengthen democracy in the country. So when someone is moving from or hoping from one party to the other, what leads him to move from one party to the other? In Kenya, it's not like it's about policy that makes someone to defect. It's about maybe tribal alignment or personal gain. And no wonder they will tell you that political parties in Kenya are for making government. Once the government is made, the political party becomes null or becomes useless. That should not be the case. We are using the multi-party that we need to use to strengthen our democracy and to protect Kenyan citizens when it comes to abuse of power from those who get it. The other thing I wanted to observe is this analysis that parties are tribal, and some are just political battles. Because, for example, ODM, when you call it a party that belongs to Luos or people from Nyanza, what do you mean by that? Is it because the leader comes from that region? Of course, the leader must just come from a region within the country. They must not drop from heaven. They must not come from Uganda or from United States. They must be from Kenyans themselves. And Kenyan have tribes. They must originate from some tribes. So therefore, when he comes to lead a political party, that does not mean that party now belongs to the Luos. Look now, for example, the leader of ODM is Raila Amolo Odinga. The deputy leader is one Oparanya, and the second leader is Ali Hassan Joho. Then we move in, the secretary general also comes from Western, and many other posts that are distributed across. So what else does someone needs to be convinced that this is a national party and not a tribal party. When it comes to party support, you find many people, or almost everyone from Western, from Nyanza, from Coast, from Northeastern, from all over across the country, they have supporters. So how does someone again call it like it's a Luo party? Now, and that is why we have to when we are talking about tribalism, let us not go beyond what is required. Before I finish, also, I think I will not go without trying to mention or to look into why William Ruto is trying to avoid or is trying to create one single political party, UDA, and is refusing others to move into coalition or coming to support him with their vehicles, those various political parties. It is because he wants to be the de facto leader, just the way Moi was. And that's the reason why it is very risky for this country, for people to begin agitating for those kind of moves again. Because once you become baba na mama of a particular party, and when people come, then you go. Once, if you don't toe the line and then you leave like that, the guy will not be affected in any way. So let's say Moses Kuria went in with their parties. He does not just come like Moses Kuria. He comes with his political base. So once he joins the order, then he is agitated and leaves. Definitely, if he came with his political base, when they bolt out, then that one creates a big more impact than if he would have joined alone. And I'm just waiting to see how he's going to survive the wave, because here, people are going to political parties are going to come together, and I don't think he's going to stick to order alone. He must be forced by pressure and by waves to accept other political parties in order for him to survive. So far, that is my observation about the political parties. Bernard?
Okay, thank you, WG, for input. I hope my audio is good now.
Bernard, you are still breaking.
I'm still breaking. I can't get me consistently. There is internet from my end. That is the reason. The speed is very low.
Okay.
Okay, let's to Tito. As we move on, I hope my service providers will work on the.
Thank you so much to give this opportunity to have in the awards in the platform. I've just realized I'm also a truly Kenya. That's why I normally follow you up every time to listen to the politics of Kenya. And I appreciate so much you are coming up to speak out, people to hear you, and the people to understand what Kenya needs. So far, the politics of Kenya, I've just followed it, and then I feel like we are miserable in the bush somewhere. Kenya's just hating the place that if you are not going to come up as a youth, tutapata hii train imeingia kwa maji, kwa msitu, na kuitoa itakuwa ngumu sana. So the political formation, if I come back to the real topic, kama tutakuwa na control, tutakuwa kila county, kila MCA ako na political formation. Kama Kalembe amesurvive na bati yake for long time, but iko na ofisi, why kwa kijiji yangu MCS kakuwe na formation ya political party yake. So in terms of political party to formation, ndakana wakuje clear, wakuwe na regulation. Tunafaa kuwa na party mingi, yes, but tuko na party zingine zenye hata sina exist, but ukifuatilia in real sense hizo party zinatembea na mtu individual kwa mfuko. Asipokuwa party hayuko, akionekana party imeonekana. So life is very hard, and these people are making this political party to confuse us. They're not making this political party to help us, kwa sababu ukifuatilia the formation all zenye ziko hapo hivyo, utapata Jubilee imekuwa iko ruling, ODM iko hapo as opposition, but wameshikana, wanasaidiana kazi ifanyike. Ukifuata tuko na ANC, tuko na Wiper, tuko na sijui chap. Hizo vitu zote ukiround off utapata sile siko chini wanachitakia. Tuko na political party, specifically I'll talk about it. Ford Kenya ilikufanga kitambo sana. Si hadi vile mnalia sasa hizi vile tumefika sasa hizi 2021 ndio mnalia sasa tuko na Ford Kenya imekufa. Ford Kenya ilikufa kitambo sana. By the time Omala kijana aliendanga na akawacha Ford Kenya. By that time Ford Kenya ilikufia wakati huo. Why? Hawa watu ukienda kwa ofisi ile na run Ford Kenya haiko. Ford Kenya na run na mtu anatembea nayo kwa mfuko yake. Ukimpata unapatiwa certificate pale benye yako. And that's a party. Alafu tunataka kuamini hawa watu tunawa support kutusaidia maisha yetu. How? Ikikupata in the Continental Hotel, certificate inapatikana sahi hapo. It's the business. They are doing business. The serious party in Kenya right now as we are speaking, na nasema ODM imekuwa seriously, it is all over in the country. They are manipulating every corner and they're serious, they're mixing. Ile kitu wange inanifurahisha na Raila Odinga wakimpatia chance ya kunominate watu aweke kwa party. Huyu jamaa ukusa kila kona. And that's the right for the Kenyans, for us to be the same like a like party. Why? Raila wakinemu watu wenye amenominate. Mi wanga nikiangalia Senator Mwaura akiongea mingi, sikujua alitoka wapi. Kama Raila angemtoa na aonekane, singejua. Nani angejua Raila? Mwaitanga Mwaura sijui nani. Mimi naitanga Mwaura mzungu. Hakuna mtu angejua Mwaura kwa Kenya hii. Kenya yetu hakuna. Na uhusiano wao ilikuwa ni nini? Si alipatia Raila pesa. Raila alikaa chini akaona hapana, tunafaa tukue na representation ya watu wako disability. Na akaona tu kwani kwa walio hakuna disability, kwa Kikuyu peke yake ndio tulikuwa na disability. Tuko kwa Wajaluo wako disability, wako disability, Maasai wako disability. Tuko na wale wa Maoria mnaitanga sijui wale sijui Maporana sijui wako na disability, but aliona achakue wapi pali yeye akili yake imemtuma, tunafaa kulevelize hivi vitu, tunafaa kulinganisha kila kitu. Akachakua Mwaura, akampatia hapo kazi. Tuko na watu wametoka coast, amemix. So party, it's very important. Walifungua multi partyism in Kenya. We honor that and we appreciate. Kwa sababu inakana tukuwe na competition, and whenever we have the competition in our country, it will make the politics to be healthy. Kwa sababu whenever you miss a point, tuko na mtu atakuja correct na kuchukua nafasi. Hiyo inafanya at least tunakuwa na representation in every corner, in parliament, in presidential, hata ikiwa kwa county. So ndakana wakuwe wa recreate formation za parties, wasiende paka wakuwe atimini kitokelezea tu individual nataka kuregister party niko na watu wawili watatu tuna register party, it's not good. Ndakana waweke mikakati party, ndakana kuwe na structure, na hii structure waifall really structure iko, sio structure kuandika kwa karatasi wanapelekea the registrar, yeye anafuata karatasi na hajaona the members, the officials. Wajua tuko na party zenye sina officials, wanapeleka kwa makaratasi tu, wanafikisha huko, wanasema secretary ni fulani, sijui nani ni fulani, mpaka wanafikisha hiyo quorum, na ambapo registrar of the political achasipitisha, inakaa waende wakae mahali kikao, registrar of political aitwe awaambie these are our quorum na these are party. MC watakuwa na mapati. Unajua sasa tunaelekea pale penye MC atakuanga kwa ground huko, kama ni Bungoma ako na party yake Bungoma. Sasa MC yako na party, kama na kona party, alafu kuje mnaitanga sijui wale watu wa Senate ako na party, sijui speaker ako na party. Sasa tutakuwa na party ngapi Kenya? Na saidia situpeleke mwelekeo. Only confusing us. Kwa sababu mtu yangu akitoka kwa kijiji yangu na ako na party, sifai kumuacha. Kama na ako na party, sifai watu wake wafai kumuacha. That's the confusion. Sasa ndakana waweke regulation ikuwe na limit, ni kuwe na quorum, alafu ndio waitinishe. Itakuwa poa, Kenya itasonga mbele, na tunafurahia kuwa na multipartyism ili tupatie changamoto, ndio tufuatilie ni wapi tunaenda na wapi tunatoka. But information isiko Kenya, citizen hata senye mapati zingine hata ukiangalia unashangaa sasa hii kitengenezwa inataka kuenda paka wapi. Wanatengeneza party yenye inasatoka tu, kama sasa mimi mwenye natoka Bungoma. Party inatoka Bungoma inafikia Eldoret, imekufia Eldoret. Sasa hiyo party ikikufia Eldoret na tunataka tukufikie watu wenye kwa Marsabit, Mombasa, sijui Kitui, sijui wapi, na party ilikufia Eldoret. Sasa tell me, hiyo kitu itamaliza hata mwaka mmoja? Alafu utapata huyu mtu anaenda kusema niko na party, niko nayo. Party ni yangu, sijui mimi nilita, sijui ni wanatumalizianga wakati. They normally waste our time. So let us look for the national parties, tuwaje na ile party zile za vichichi, na watu wenye watu fail ni registrar wa political parties, ndio wana register paka councillors wakuwe na MC wakuwe na parties, wakitupikia kelele wanatumalizia wakati, na tunafaa kuwa na direction ya country ku develop. Kwa sababu nikitoa revenue kwangu ina develop kijiji ile nimetoka, ina develop the country, the whole country. Ushuru ikisanywa ichenge country mzima. Wanahesabu itachenga hivi. So the only thing that I urge, they used to be very strictly following the Kenya political, the way they're forming the alliances, the interest of our life, the interest of the coming generation, what is next tomorrow will be. Hii itafanya at least mkienuka mnajua watoto wenu watakuwa na mwangaza. So watu kuhope one to another party ndio wanatuletea njaa saiti tena. Stick to your party, make it strong. Let us believe that your manifesto ile mko nayo itatuchenga. Lakini sasa unaenda kesho unatuambia tuko na hii manifesto itasaidia wa Kenya kuenda mbele, lakini sasa within 1 year hiyo manifesto umeachana nayo, umeingia party nyingine, unatengeneza manifesto nyingine, unaacha ile ulikuwa nayo. It gives a problem. Inachanganya wa Kenya. Wakenya wanachanganyikiwa kwa ajili ya mapati na watu wenye wanasirani na watu wanatu confuse kutuambia hii ni manifesto iko sawa na nyinyi. Sasa mtu kama umeongea last year, umeongea tuko na big four agenda. After a while unakuja unatuambia tuko na bottom up. So within 5 years, span of 5 years, umetuambia many ile vitu tunasema umetupatia agenda sile unatatufanyia mingi in different platforms. Sasa ni kani tutafuata? Tutafuata big four agenda, tutafuata bottom up, tutaendesha wheelbarrow, tunashindwa tunafanya kazi. Let us have people who are strong, who believe in their political parties and the agenda for the Kenyans to build the Kenya. Nashukuru sana. Nime take time kidogo, but me I'm very happy to see youth, you are coming up, you are speaking, you have the voice, And I urge you to continue having the voice to raise and then to change Kenya. Don't wait for these people to come and change Kenya. The politicians who are in Kenya do not have any interest to change Kenya. They have their interest to loot everything, to eat everything, unless Mungu atupatie tu mtu mmoja atakuwa anatufikiria. Kama atatupatia ni sawa, lakini sasa kama tunafikiria, mi as a youth, ngawaje napita hiyo line ya youth, but as a youth, wale watu wamejoin parliament, the current parliament, ilikuwa nafikiria wata stand up na wapatishe mwelekeo ya wa youth, wakuwa na speak about youth, but wanapika kelele wakienda wakisama, na wanafanya sasa tunakuwa tunaruhusu morali. But kesho yetu I hope itakuwa poa tukiongeza more youth na watatusimamia watuongelee. Mtu alichakuliwa kutoka sijui ni Murang'a ama ilikuwa ni wapi. Nasikia Mudhuri anamlia sana. Mavitu zake kujanga akiwasilisha asaidie watu wao. Sasa huyo ni youth tulichokuwa akitoka kwa ground tukijua ataenda kubadilika na abadilishe watu yake. Na ameenda kulala. Sasa youth kama mnapata chance mpatiwe nafasi, muache usingizi, muamuke, Kenya ni yenu. Kwa sababu ile vitu naona huku hivi pale benye niko sahi current. Mtu unajua huku ni kwanga ni kingdom ikipeanwa. Yes sir.
Mwako ulisha. Subiri utapata nafasi nyingine. It's well. Thank you for your input.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We go to Ham. As I sort out my internet issues. Ham, are you able to get me?
Yes, I can get you.
Haya, karibu tafadhali moja kwa moja.
Asante sana, tumekaa tu tukisikiza vile watu wanasema. Sasa nataka nichangie tu kulingana na vile imeandikwa Kenya Parties Politics, National Tribes, National Parties, Tribe of Outfit and Personal Property Parties. Kitu ya kwanza, we have to understand African parties for politics. These parties are not liberal. Easy parties, in as much as we call them nationals, they are not nationals. These are tools for people to go to the next agenda they want in life. And one thing we have to understand, Africa politics, they are chaotic, they are not organized. And by so saying, it is true that when you look those countries with the organized politics, all parties are controlled by the government, and they do not have more than 3 parties. Even if you have interest of coming with your own party, you are controlled by government. We can give example. Let's start with the United Kingdom of the Queen. We have 2 parties. That is conservative versus liberal. Let's go to United States. We have 2 parties. That is Republican and Democrat. Let's go to Australia. We have 2 parties. That is the Liberal and the Labour.
Seems to have technical hitch. I think is hanged.
Are you getting me? Are you getting me?
You had gone off.
Yeah, I could see. I think it was loading from your side. If we go to German, we have 2 parties, but now we have 3 parties because of the new leader who has taken in the Scorali. But that party was forced to be merged to other parties. Now, when you look German, we have the Green Party, we have the SDC, that is the Christian Development Union Party. Then we have the Scorali Party, which is now the new party, which is already forced to merge to government. So what am I saying? I'm saying Africa parties are not parties for national. These are individual assets to give you platform to reach to the next stage. So let's go to Kenya. Kenya, we do not have national party because If we have national party, we should be seeing something called strategized rules to govern the popularities of parties. In Kenya, I think we have more than 50 parties. And these parties, each party dies with its own regime, meaning they don't be there for Kenyans or for the nation. They are there for the purpose of the individual. Now, when you look those countries with organized politics, the government regulates those parties. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it is either you are in the national party or you are in opposition party. And in Kenya, we are even now going individually. We are going to what we call independent, meaning there is no national party, meaning the agenda on the public domain, it's not about the nation, it's about the individual. What am I going to take with me to that house? Today, I was listening to WSR, the chairman, when he was talking about the diaspora being part of Huda. And he said almost 1/9 of members of parliament right now in parliament, they belong to Huda. Yes, he is correct because it is true. But let's look back. When they formed Jubilee, what was the agenda of Jubilee? It was for the nation, national agenda. But where has it landed up to now? It has landed to individuals, meaning it's not national. Let's go to the long-lived party in Kenya, which is KANU. KANU, it has been serving Kenyans in the name of nation. But where is it today? Even in my own constituency, we don't know about KANU. But when you go to West Pokot and you go to those regions, still Jogo exists. Meaning it was not about nation. It was about individualism. Let's go to the current, which is now seem to be the national party, the Orange Democracy. Yes, it has popularity, but you need to mark it. Popularity is not equivalent to the national agenda. You can be popular, but you cannot be equivalent to national agenda. The national agenda of Kenya is to put the Kenyans in a platform whereby they are equal and they can achieve. As long as you have or you don't have, we are equal, but they are not equal. Why? When you look into ODM, when they are doing what we call the relegations of the grassroots, there are people who are nominated earlier before others, meaning that is an individual agenda. It's not about who should go where. Now, let's go back to the leading countries like America. Even the president of America, Trump, the former, he had his own party. But the government compressed him to merge
But I
that
have
party.
a question.
Yes. Ask.
Yeah, I needed to clarify. I was requesting that you clarify when you say that. Please. Okay, thank you for muting. If you say that ODM normally, do what you call it nomination, they nominate even before at the grassroots. Can you substantiate that? Because I can.
Okay, let me just clarify your doubt. You just want to hear the point clear. It's not about substantiate. It's about you want to hear the point clear. This is the clarity of matter. There has been a lot of complaints from the wing of ODM that when they go to do nomination, those people are nominated, they don't end up being the same people they thought, but someone behind the curtain comes to take the position. Now you are clear? That is the point I wanted to say. Meaning, in any national agenda, let me finish. In any national agenda, we don't need to see people coming from back curtain. We need to see people being nominated by the members of the party. Whether you come from West Pokot or whether you come from Mombasa, we don't need to see people favoring others. We need to see the members, the NDC members who are in that party, that in that room, they should do their own choice. Okay, if you have been a follow-up of politics of ODM, you will realize 2007, you will realize 2013, you will realize 2017, there were short-membered people whom were supposed to be in certain position, but they end up complaining. Even others went individually. They went as independent candidates. If you do not have information, it's not about substantiating. It is real there. Okay.
I have information harm. I think I maybe have
WG,
what
saying
I want
whether
to.
you will rebuttal after submission, please.
Can Mr.
Sorry?
WG, can you allow me I finish the points, then you can
No,
just air your
there's something.
Yeah, let me finish my points, then later you can just air your points, then we will be able to answer because we are ready. I was tackling the issue of parties. Most parties in Africa, it's not in Kenya, and I'm talking this with a lot of knowledge about politics of Africa because I'm part of those politics. These politics are not about national agenda. Okay, let's give you an example. Today, German, the CDC or the SDC, which was led by Merkel Angel, she's already now leaving the party. She's handing over the power to Scoralis, who is the person of a liberal party, which is new, but he has been forced to merge that party of him with the government party. Why are they merging? So that they cut out the difference between the government leading party and the opposition. Meaning, the government coming into power as of first this month, they have to continue with the agenda of the national party. If the national party said they are going to institute power in all regions, whether the national party had assigned that or not, the coming power party should continue with that agenda. It is national agenda, not individual agenda. Second, let's go to United States, because this is the gauge mark of democracy of the humanity. Democrats, when they were receiving power from Republicans, there was agenda of vaccinating the nation. Leave alone that agenda. There was agenda of improving the well-living condition of those people of America. Whether Democrats had that white paper for that agreement or not, it is the duty of the coming power to continue the national agenda. Let's go to Australia. Morris, when the Australia was hit by catastrophe of fire and he was on holiday, the National Party plus the public demanded him to come back to the country to address the wildfire which is consuming the country. And because it was national, today is not a request. Is being pushed by the agenda of nation to build that country. Let's come to Kenya. Kenya, the national parties, they change to individual parties and they favor the regions. For example, today I happen to talk to a friend of mine who is beyond Garissa. And I asked him, hey, gentleman, when you're listening to Kenya news, do you get what is going on? The guy told me nationally, he told me point blank, my friend, don't ever talk about Kenya in this region. Some of us, we are more into Somalia and Ethiopia rather than in Kenya. Why? There has been nation parties which has been saying we are national party, but that region has never been covered up. Let's not go to that area. Just cross down here in our country where we have West Pokot. The national parties, they talk of security of every individual and country. But we have been having wrestling of kettles. West Pokot. National party, when it talks of security, it is first agenda of any nation to protect wealth, humanity, and asset of its own country. We are the asset of the Kenya government. So it is not us to request government to protect us. It is the government to protect its own asset. So you cannot tell me someone is walking with more than 1,000 heads of a cattle and you are flying over his head 1,000 feet above, and you cannot trace those cattle. You have to see those cows where they are passing. And even if you don't see them, you will see dust, and you will narrow down to that dust and get to know what is happening. But it does not happen. Why? Because the parties are tuned to individualism. It is who should accept what, then we give you that method. Let's come down to our now the so-called local tribes party. Yes.
Hold on,
Yes.
you're opening your things, and leaving them hanging.
Okay, like which one?
What is the relationship in national party and national security? Okay. We have the ruling party, which is in charge of free affairs, which is supposed to take care of all that. How do we now meet on other political parties that are not in power? They are still looking for how to get in power. So what makes a national party a party according to you? Because you have dismissed everything. Unmute first, mute.
Ham, unmute, please. Unmute. Ham, unmute.
Sorry. National party should be regulated by government. Whether you like it or not, it is the government to come to that position and say, look, this what as we, the government, we are saying, not you, because we are the asset of government. For example, today in Kenya, we shouldn't be seeing the broadcasting or the popping up of small parties. The government should first regulate and retain the existing parties. Okay? We should not allow more than 10 to 20 parties. What are they for? The competition of politics are not helping Kenyans. They are helping individuals. That's why you are seeing the busting out of cartels and the corruption. But if we had two parties, everybody will bring his own agenda to that one party, and they will stay ahead to what the government wants. So we do not have national party first.
Hold on, Ham. According to you, the national party can only be achieved with less number of political parties.
I'm saying when you have more than 5 to 10 parties in a country, that's not national parties. That is a school of parties. That's a competition of parties. We have even our neighbor country here, Tanzania.
I don't need to push you too far. I just want us to have an understanding.
Yes.
National party.
I'm not. Yes.
Okay. Exists as a national party. It doesn't
I'm not getting you.
Regulated by government for it to become national.
You are breaking. Can you repeat your question? You are breaking.
I think Ham, you also have a.
Okay. Hold on. I'm saying and hear me, I believe. Saying the existence of, let's say, ODM, okay? It exists as a party, as an entity. Meets the registrar of political threshold of having a national face, having a million people subscribe to its ideology, and being spread in its cause around the country. So with it being in power or out of power, it has to exist as a name, okay? But need to close other parties so that it becomes national? I don't think so. It has to grow and become be widespread around the country. So where is it the necessity for political parties to die, for other parties to be found? That's what I want us to clarify.
Let me answer that question.
Yes.
Yeah, I've muted. Let me answer that question and I clarify. One, the mature democracies, and I need everyone to mark this. The mature democracies, they don't compete on many or on numbers of political parties. They compete on agenda and what they hold first for the nation. Let's check our neighbors, just our neighbors. Tanzania here with Ujamaa. Okay? Let's check our neighbors around. Those countries with sober strategic politics, they don't have more than 5 or 3 parties. They hold on 2 parties. Let's see in Kenya. How many parties, leave alone even the 60s, just start 2013 up to now. How many parties do we have? All these parties, they are competing for identity. Identity for Wajiko. Why are they fighting for this identity of Wajiko? So that an individual to go to that seat to share the cake to its own people, not to the national agenda. The national agenda should be the first, because we are the Kenyans and we live in Kenya and we know the things which are disturbing Kenyans. When we have more than 3 competitors, it means we will not have something going to be fulfilled in good grounds. Why then, if we are going, okay, I see RM trying to refuse, but just let me air my point.
Hold on, one moment. How you seem to have a notion that the reason the political parties we have are national parties we have, yet yourself, us national parties should have national agenda. Okay, this national agenda, is it to kill other political parties so that it remains national? I don't. I get to marry the two. Secondly, just hold on before you. King. When for you to be registered a national party, there is what the register for you to as a political party, there is the minimum requirement by the registrar of political parties. You don't just walk in, submit papers, and your certificate. There is all counter checking and meeting the requirements. So does it mean that the registrar of political parties is not doing her job, or political parties are being registered illegally? Because you have a problem with the number of political parties, and saying the number of political parties is what is or rather betraying the national agenda of political parties. Please that and be brief so that we move to other people who have not said anything.
Okay, Bernard, my point I'm saying, one, registrar of party should put a policy whereby let be only 3 parties which they have national agenda. That is the first policy I'm seeing to. Secondly, any other person coming with any party should be put into a strategy that it is either you join the national party or you join the opposition party. Why? So that we give healthy competition and healthy monitoring of government. Why are we seeing our government eloping with a lot of money? Because no opposition party going to check into government with the rightful honor. 3, I'm saying we should not see this broadcasting of so many parties. What is the agenda are they bringing on the board? Which the national party which is sitting, it cannot do. That's why I'm saying democracy of Africa, it is doctrinated. It's a doctrinated doctrine that just have parties to show people they are democrats, but they are not. Those and 3 parties or 5 parties, why are they only regulating 2 parties? Why? Just ask yourself that question. If then we were that democratic,
Sorry, has been thrown out. We finish his sentence. He will do that when he comes back. I want us to move on. Before we hear from Nabi, I would say this: the dynamics of political parties in Kenya are such that there are so many interests, both internal and external, that determine how political parties end up with decisions, including the nominated members of parliament. Probably we'll dive into that as time goes, but we have people who are determined to infiltrate other political parties and win them from within by sponsoring their preferred candidate on that particular, even when they belong to another political party. And then as the intelligence of this political party comes up, they certificate, yes, you got the vote, yes, you won the nomination, but your agenda is for you to weaken this party while you're in parliament. Reach parliament, then cross the floor, go and vote the people we are competing against. So when information is gotten, there are other party structures that come into play. It's not just defeating the will of the people who voted, but it's securing the strength of the party as it goes to parliament. The use of you giving your nomination certificate to everybody and only to reach the parliament, and you find you have 100 members of parliament, but 80 of these members of parliament are not with you. They are with your competitor. So let's look at it from a wider angle other than just now it to an act of I got the ticket, but I was not given the certificate for that matter. Nabi, you can come in.
I hope leo ninasikika Ben.
Yes, uko clear, karibu.
Asante. Na salimu wenzangu wengine wote. Asante kwa mjadala huu ambao ni mkali sana. Sina mengi kawaida, lakini wacha niseme yafuatayo. In Kenya today, in my view, we don't have any national party. Even ODM, which boasts of representation from across the country, I wonder what would happen if Baba decides to keep off politics. I don't think that national outlook would remain. The parties we have are not only tribal. Actually, we are moving from tribal parties to clan-based parties. That is the reason why we find that in Mount Kenya, we have more than 10 parties, yet we only have one tribe there called the Kikuyu. Yeah, Mount Kenya, the Kikuyu are part of it. The Kikuyu part of it. I know there are other tribes in Mount Kenya. But if you count the parties that have been registered and are associated with our Kikuyu brothers, there are more than 10. So it means that we are moving away from tribal parties to sub-county or clan-based parties. It therefore means that, going by the topic we have, it therefore means that these parties are formed to serve individual interests. Like parties are being formed so that maybe the person who is registering it can become popular or famous or be used to bargain with other parties so as to get some political, to acquire some political interest. I think the reason for this trend is because we got into multi-party democracy after the government we had then had championed tribal-based management of affairs of the country, that is poor governance. That's the reason why when this democracy came, when the multi-party democracy came, it found that the Kenyan people had been divided into tribes. So it has become very difficult to move away from this kind of behavior. That is my view. Unless someone has an issue with me, I beg to end it there for now.
Okay, thank you. I believe nobody has an issue with you. RMJ, you have an issue with the...
Habari jamani, nanisikia?
Salama, vipi? Tunakuwa vizuri sana.
I haven't got any issue with you, but I've got small issue with you, Nabi. But I'll come to the point. I was just shaking my head earlier regarding some remarks, but I'll go through a couple of things. I wanted him to clarify, or even I wanted to point out a couple of few things. Yes, good things. I think this is a main big elephant in your country when it comes to parties. For me, the way I see it, the point I want to point out, Nabi said political parties have been, originated by people as the vehicle. You can be right, and as well as can be wrong. There's some people started some parties for a struggle for the Kenyans. And they still stand for that ideology, whatever they believe. They have never changed it. You can point out yourself, you can do just your analyzation, and you come out who someone has been standing firm since he started parties in your country. So it means when you say that parties have been started as just a vehicle for someone to get to certain city or certain objective, you can be right and you can be wrong as well. That's the only thing I wanted to point out to Nabi, because there's some people, they believe in their ideology. You can't slap them left and then they turn down. No, they don't believe into that. They stood firm up to now. That's why they have got some big followers and big supporters numbers. In terms of where things went wrong, I think Laila most of the time has been repeating where the rain started beating you guys. I think 2002, when you came to realize that to get out chama ya baba na mama is to just come together. So you from your tribe will bring your numbers, you from your tribe will bring your numbers, you bring this, as long as you get chama ya baba na mama out into power. So everyone came to realize that, so I can start a party, and then it can be, it can be a part from certain region, and then it will able for me to come forward to the table. We can discuss and get a number, or it can help me to bargain something. That's what many people, they've decided. The way I see, they've started parties in that way, which is something which is too wrong, and they are not doing favor to Kenyans at all. And I can see some people or some leaders, when it comes to the election times, they do delay their tactics. So they have to make sure that what am I getting from this negotiation when we are trying to negotiate for the next government, because they know that they've got their party and they've got their few numbers. They're not doing good to Kenyans. When it comes to harm points, he pointed out that in terms of developed countries, in terms of their democracy, they've got only two parties. That is wrong. UK, we have got almost like 7 parties, and they are doing well. It's not only Labour and Conservative. There's a Liberal, there's a UKIP, there's a Green Party, there's a lot of parties. The problem we Africans, or problem of Kenya politics is not the parties, is we ourselves, our selfish. So don't blame the party. It's our selfish. The way we think, oh, nitapata nini hapa? So you get that, you jump to that vehicle, you get elected, go to the parliament. What have you done for those 5 years? You're still working hard for the next 5 years to come. Which vehicle am I going to jump to again? It's just some mentality of selfishness. You're not doing the work. You're thinking, how am we going to get to the next destination? You're looking for another vehicle. So parties, they haven't got something wrong. We ourselves. Because parties, they can have their ideology, they can have what they believe, always they bring out whatever they believe in. But those people are the ones that got something wrong in their mind, in their brain. And I can come to another point Ham mentioned in terms of nomination. It was relating to ODM. I think it's not even only in Africa. Even developed countries, they have got some preferred candidates. What? If you have got this, you can be pushed forward, come forward. You're the one who's going to go for this contest. So it's not only ODM, or it's not only in Kenya. Even developed countries, they have got the way they can say, oh, you will be the one who have been running, singing Baba Baba all the time, and then later on someone else comes and then get picked up to go for that that nomination. He has been nominated to go and stand for that election. So it's not only in Kenya. It can be anywhere. It can happen. Even in the US, there's some. I remember, was it Cruz? Yeah, somebody Cruz. When it comes to, he was there, but later on, people they said, no, we can't take you forward. So the only thing that I like to say, parties, they started well, but it's the people who are saying that their brains. You start your party, you've written down what you do believe in your party, but at the end of the day, you end up diverting. But at the same time, there's some people they've stood firm with their parties up to today. And when it comes to the national party, you mentioned about Tanzania. I come from Tanzania. We still have the same problem when it comes to those fights of wafugaji and the farmers. Okay, that party you calling that the social party CCM, they have failed since I was growing up to now. They have failed to solve those problems up to now. But when I hear you guys with Pokoti and Laikipia, what is going on, and I said, this is similar scenarios what is happening in my country. So, but when it comes to national party, there's some people that do believe certain things which for the national interest. One thing I can point out, even your president has got good interests for your nation. That's why he doesn't want to divert and get out of certain things. When it comes to the nation interest, he's not blank. He's pointing out, but he doesn't want to tell you straightforward. He can give you in an indirect way. It's up to you. God has brought us in this world with brain to understand, digest. Is this what he's saying? Is it right or is it wrong? I think that's the only way I like to end up.
Okay, thank you, MJ. That is a good one. And before we go to Elijah, and I want to say this: our multi-party status, it was ended up after struggle. There was a fight for multi-party democracy to be reinstated in Kenya. After it was reinstated in Kenya, we had a regime that was anti-multi-party system that reigned for another 10 years. The repeal of Section 2A. And from that Moi ideology, multi-party in Kenya was meant to fail. So everything was done by old KANU to make sure that party system does not take off and succeed. And one of the things that was pushed so hard by the Moi ideology was that other political parties are tribal parties. They are personal, they are tribal outlets. So KANU ndio baba na mama. So my understanding, multipartyism was never succeed in Kenya and seemed to have a reincarnation of the same. Even after the 2010 constitution, we still have people who believe that multipartyism cannot be done. And one way of making multipartyism ill in Kenya is allow counter the way Mo used to do. When you oppose, he will go and pick a step brother and finance him to come and stand against you and push you out of parliament. So we have developed that to a level where if you don't agree with my political party, I sponsor another party to be raised in your place so that it replaces the strength or it weakens the strength of that particular party in that particular region. And so we're fitting ourselves by fighting our political parties, yet we claim to advocate for multipartyism. If we are for multipartyism, then we should revamp political parties and political parties, create atmosphere and space environment conducive growth of political parties, healing of political parties in the aim that we can only be united under one political party. I don't believe that political party unity equals to national unity. And I don't we should have unity at the expense of national unity or unity at the expense of political party. Let's respond from before we hear from Elisha and then Mulumbu and then Ham,
Thank you,
unmute.
guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Ben. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone.
Order, Elijah, hold on.
Elijah, hold on.
Okay.
Let Ham respond.
Let Ham respond and then you.
Okay. This is what I wanted to say. I don't have problem with the party. The problem I have is that the registrar of parties should regulate the parties in Kenya, because the competition at which parties are bringing into Kenyan public domain of politics, it's not health. They should put a regulation that if you have to have a party, they should point toward certain direction. Let's not allow parties to be more, because today, Bernard, you can wake up and register your party. Now, assume all Kenyans register their own party. Which party are we going to say it is going to lead one another? That is the point I want to say. Let registrar of party regulate those parties.
How are you going to deal with freedom of association? Which is a constitutional right, and telling people to force them to join a particular association, isn't that a violation of the constitution?
Now, Bernard, I'm not saying they force people. I'm saying they should toll to a certain order. Because remember, I may say this, we have so many parties in Kenya which are not health, even to our politics. And that healthiness of politics is the one we need. You can have 100 parties, but if they are well regulated, observing certain protocol, we will appreciate. But we don't want to see this many parties with individual interests of how to ascend into power. That is the problem. And that's what we are now saying here. The registrar of parties should regulate those parties. Now, let me ask a question as you also continue with your things. Right now, how many individuals have registered their own party? And they are within the national parties. Just think about it, and then we can see about it in finishing this time. Thank you.
Okay, Elisha, karibu Elisha.
Elisha, unmute your mic. We cannot hear you.
Thank you, Ham and the rest. Ben, I can see Fred, Nabi, WG, RMG, and Mulumbu. I came in earlier to listen to the subject matter beforehand, the topic about our politics in Kenya. I've been away for a while, but I thank God that there is another opportunity we can share a light moment regards to our politics in this country. Thank you. Now, the subject, Kenya. Kenya's party politics, national parties, tribal outfits, personal property parties. You just hit. I think the guy who was crafting this subject today was very straight to the point, because you already said everything. I think we have nothing more to discuss. It's just true that Kenya has very funny party politics. Most of them are pretending to be national parties, yet they are not. They are only tribal outfits, and others are just personal properties. Now, when you look at our party politics in Kenya, most of these parties are created by persons with self-interests in the name of advocating for, change. They come up with a political cause, an agenda to start or to register, because at least I want to believe it's just like when you're registering a business entity, you're asked by the registrar, what is your cause? And because it's a political party, I could easily go and register mine today and say I want to advocate for, change, social change, social economic change in this country. Why? Because I only need a platform. I need a base upon which I can operate my business. This is what is happening in our political arena. People go register parties for their own selfish interests. Actually, they want to push a certain cause in the name of advocating for the needs of our fellow countrymen. They're not stable. They're not doing, mature party politicking. I want to borrow from our colonialists, the British. And now that Americans came in later on after the British ruled this world, most of the countries in the world, and Americans came with a lot of force, democratic ways. They even impacted our society differently. We were British colonialists. We were colonized by the British. So we borrowed so much of our politics, the culture of politics from the British. We are pretending that we have parties which are stable. We can register and run parties in a manner that is acceptable worldwide. Yet we just borrowing actually concepts from our colonialists. At the same time, we are mixing it with the Americanism. What Americans are actually doing in the world, trying to show the world how democracy is supposed to be run internally, plus our Africanism. We have not departed so much from our Africanism. So we have like three aspects, mixing them together and trying to run our local politics in the name of running a national agenda. National parties, a few exist as national parties. They are still trying to emulate what a national party is. For instance, we've been brought up by most of our independent years, so in quotes, independent years from 1963. Kano has been on the realm. We've been led by President Moi, the late President Moi, for more than 20 years. This party KANU looked like it was a national outfit because Moi was in power, and all state machinery and every other sector, every other corner of this country only knew one party because of the actually the laws that were put in place and the decrees from the presidential palace. We only knew one party, that was Moi, until Section 2A was repealed to bring in multipartism. That is when we started have so many other parties coming up, people coming up with their own national own parties, but they tried their best. They've tried their best to draw Kenyans away from that culture of believing that KANU was the best outfit for Kenya. In real sense, it has not. We have not had that strong party until today, even though ODM has really tried. And the coalition government, we had parties like NAC coming together with DP, LDP, and those other small parties to pull Moi out of power. But we still can see that we have a challenge because there is no one strong party that can actually outlive its owners. All parties in Kenya right now have their owners. They are like personal properties. In that, when the owner, the people who started the party are no longer there or are no longer active in politics, you see that party going down. For instance, we've seen what happened to PNU after our former president Mwai Kibaki left power. PNU has been down until recently, when someone came up to revive it. It's been down completely. But wakati Kibaki alipokuwa katika power, this party was very vibrant. So we still have KANU, yes. Gideon Moi is trying to revive KANU. We still have DP. Muturi is trying to revive DP. We've seen the Nyandarua governor trying to come up with PNU, trying to revive it. ODM has been there. Raila is still active in politics. But I want to believe, and I'm assuming, once all these leaders are out, or maybe they are political active, they are not active in politics, these parties will go underground and we'll have new other parties coming up, new other vehicles coming up, only with one interest. This is what I wanted to actually emphasize on. That they've turned out to be tribal outfits and personal properties at the same time. Because looking at, for instance, what is happening with the Lunyangapo party and UDA party, and say these young parties which are coming up, the Pwani party, there is another party called Pwani. These are actually sort of local outfits. These are tribal outfits. They will soon become even village outfits because they are only up for, their aim is actually to capture the local realm, political realm, so that they actually have a base to negotiate. They have a base to negotiate their way through or to ascend to a certain level in the political realm. They want to have that, their numbers from the ground, so that they are able to negotiate with the bigger parties, that they have a portion of the electorate, which if you can't negotiate with them, it means you're not going to be, they have the right to go and negotiate with other contestants or with other bigger political parties. So it's actually a base, a stronghold upon which communities are going to use to negotiate their way through into the national, actually in the national political realm. So I would say because of multipartism, we are going to have more and more parties coming up. Individuals are going to have to register more and more parties so that they can ascend to power very easily. They can negotiate very easily, and also their own personal interests can be afforded so much easily, unlike it was before. So right now, there are so many other dynamic aspects in the political arena in Kenya that we cannot just say we have a national outfit or a national party or a party that represents all the more than 40 million Kenyans. It's actually accommodating everything. We can point out and we can easily count how many parties right now are actually up. Most of them are struggling. We can't compare ourselves to the big economies like USA and Britain, though they are the pace setters in the democratic world, but we cannot compare ourselves. We can't even come close to what they are doing. We are only imitating what they do. Otherwise, in Kenya, we have no national party. There is none that is existing that we can say it is a national outfit. It actually represents the whole nation. Otherwise, we have those parties like ODM. Actually, the best and what I could say is more stable as a party in Kenya right now is actually Orange Democratic Party. I heard someone comment that ODM was started by Raila, so it's a community. It's sort of a community party, not like UDA, which represents the whole. I can for sure correct that man and say, as a Kenyan, you just know. In fact, we are not supposed to be talking about UDA because we are not sure whether it will be there tomorrow. Next year is coming. We don't know what is going to happen in the political arena. I can only say I can talk about ODM. I can talk about Jubilee. Yes, it is on its knees, but I can talk about Jubilee. I can talk about NARC Kenya because there is Martha Karua. I can talk about Rainbow. I can talk about Wiper because and ANC. But I can't talk about these new parties because they are even yet to conduct their first primaries or their first delegates, so-called conferences, and maybe have truthful nominations. We don't know what is going to happen with them. So we are only talking about what we know. That is ODM and the rest. So for me, I still will say whoever crafted the subject that Kenya party politics, yes, there are party politics, but in real sense, all these are just vehicles to get people to a certain destination. And they are only going for the stronger ones. So everyone is running towards the bigger umbrella, which can help you not to be rained on. You want to be somewhere, at least so that you are sure that tomorrow you won't be out of government or out of the real opposition. I rest my case.
Okay, Lasha, before you go, you say
Yes.
there's no national party in Kenya. It's a national party in your.
Your mic is off and on, and I can't get you clearly, Bernard.
So I'm asking, what makes party national party in your opinion?
A national party, it's supposed to. I will say a national party is actually supposed to encompass every other aspect of this society. Every other aspect of this society, I mean every corner of this society. It is supposed to have at least more than 60% of representation from the whole country. And that is why I said I would go for, if you were to say that which party is more stronger than the other, ODM is ranking higher because at least they have shown they can capture several aspirational people. There are so many other communities in Kenya because we are a country made up of so many other communities. You see leaders from all over the country, most of the country, coming in and even creating their own parties, but vowing that they will actually dance to the ODM tune come 2022. When we have to decide on the ballot, they are going to make sure that their votes are counted together with those of the ODM party, meaning it sort of has attracted a lot of attention, more attention, more than other existing parties, including the ruling Jubilee Party. But I can not per se say that it is totally a national outlook. I don't want to give it 10 out of 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it, say, 6 to 7 or 6.5. Why? Because a national party is supposed to show all the faces on the table. It is supposed to have more than 90% actually, which is impossible. So we assume that a national party is in Kenya, say Jubilee before it broke up, the way they used to claim they had the numbers and everything, or ODM as it is currently. Because I can for sure declare that as at now, even KANU is ascribing to the ODM ideology, meaning in the next polls, they will be falling under that umbrella. We don't know about other Jubilee, the ruling coalition is actually, the ruling party is actually ascribing to ODM ideology, meaning they have that power to abet or to you see to I don't know, to convince so many other minds, so many other ideologies that this our direction is the best. If given the opportunity to lead this country, we will change this country for good. That means they have been able to attract as much as more than other existing parties. I don't know whether I've answered that question, Ben. Ben, back to you. Are you able to get me now? Ben is hanging. Nabi, you can get me. Am I clear?
Yeah, you are clear. You are audible.
Oh, Ben is gone, eh?
Ben has got a problem with his network.
So, friends, I don't know whether I'm almost clear or I'm away from the truth. Mulumbu and Nabi and the rest.
You have just said what you know and what you think was to be done. With your opinion is okay.
Yeah. As for me, most of the mics are on. Patriot was a similar viewers. Exactly. That was. Thank you. As for me, my brother, I just want to ask you one question. Do you remember? Do you remember the day OTM was born? Orange Democratic Party, when it was born. Do you remember?
Yes.
Before 47 counties came into place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right now, as we are speaking, Orange Democratic Party, it is all over 47 counties. Even a child, you go down there to the ground and ask a child, do you know Baba? Somebody will tell you, yes, I know. Who is he? The leader of the Orange Democratic Party. Why? Because a leader is being known by what he stands for. If you stand for the truth will prevail at the end of the day. If you stand for the rights of the people people will arise to defend you in any situation or circumstances. That's why right now we believe strongly, or I believe strongly in my heart, that the time has come for the revolution of economic status in our country. And who is this person championing the revolution of economics situation in our country? None than Orange Democratic Party. Why? Because it is a party that has the influence all 47 counties, wherever PA, sijui BO, sijui PNU, sijui Jubilee. Even Jubilee was born under the Orange Democratic. There is none other party. All these party you are seeing here in this country, in our country today, all of them, they were born under Orange Democratic Party. So
Fred,
if you agree
So
with me,
if you agree with me,
Orange Democratic
Orange
Party
Democratic Party
is the one
is the one
supremacy.
supremacy.
Fred,
Okay?
Okay?
Fred, let's not equate individualism with the national state affair. And that's where the Kenya we are doing mistake. We are trying to equate individualism with state ministries, with state parastatals. And we forget that the moment that individual will leave, that state parastatal will fall. It will not work for individual. Right now, what you are telling us, it is an individualism affair. We need national affair, whereby if Raila is not in the public domain to be seen, that public affair will be carried on, whether he's there or not there. When you talk of economics, it is a deep, detailed information that needs not individual. It needs state affair. If you talk of economy, don't equate with individual. Kenyans are suffering. We are not talking of those current affair people. We are talking of the local citizens, someone in somewhere Bulukanga, somewhere in Kilifi. We are talking of somewhere in Rusinga Highland who has never known in Nairobi. And that's why we are asking in this forum, does these parties adjudicate for that person? I've served with the World Vision across the bitter, where people are suffering, not only from diseases, but also infrastructure. And those people, they don't even understand what is called just a simple power. Hii stima tu tunaambiwa imewekwa kila mahali. Those people, they are not enjoying those privileges. So let's consider these parties. We need them to adjudicate for Kenyans. And that's why we are saying they are tribal. They are not looking into people's affairs. Today, Kenyans are running away from Kenya. Why? Because the individualism parties, they are not working for those Kenyans. The individualism party, they are not there to look into people's affair. Good example. We have the David Sankok, who was given appointment on behalf of the crippled people, disabled people. Last month, the gentleman came here in Saudi with his only delegates, and they end up abusing Kenyans who are working in the Gulf. We are bringing prostitutes in the Gulf. That person is coming from a national party, or is coming from an individual party, or is advance his own agenda. Those are the parties and the people we don't need in power. So this is not about individual affair. This is about Kenya across the borders, across the border. Whether you live in Taita Taveta, you should be equivalent, equal with the person living in Karen. Whether you live in West Pokot, you should be equivalent, equal with the person living in Lamu. And that's what we are saying. The political parties are not national parties. These are individualism machines to ascend people to power. And that's why we are calling the registrar of parties to come with a policy to regulate even those people who are going on an independent candidature, to stop them. They're not helping Kenyans at all, at all, at all.
Okay, Herman.
Herman.
Let me ask you a question. Where are you addressing
this forum?
I'm addressing it from currently I'm on a mission here in Gulf.
Gulf?
Yes.
Where?
What is your main point? What do you wanted to say? Can you go
Because
to your
I'm
point
in Qatar.
direct?
Because I'm in
Qatar.
Okay, let's not bring Qatar here. Just address your point direct. That's what I want to hear.
Okay. Now let me tell you something. I didn't mention individual. I mentioned Orange Democratic Party. The day was born. Okay? This is a national party. I didn't talk about individual. If you marked me well, or if you quoted me well, I mentioned Orange Democratic Party. This is the only national party that we have that has supporters all 47 counties right now as we are speaking. Maybe you and I, we are in Gulf. Thank you for that. But I'm telling you the truth. My friend, it's better you tell me, where are you, so that I can understand where are you addressing us from, so that I can understand your stature. Maybe you are Saudi, you are Oman, you are Bahrain, you are Kuwait, you are whatever you are. Just tell me wherever you are, and then I will.
You guys. Thank you. Hold on, everybody.
Bernard, allow me I respond to Fred, please.
Hold on, all of you.
Thank you.
I think Fred is deviating from the
I'm sorry, my English is problems.
But I want us to debate actively, accurately, based on the information available. Okay, available. Site information is available. Not imagine what the other politicians say on the platform. Don't forget that it seems to me that everyone runs against ODM. You either run for ODM or against ODM. From 2007, 2010, 2017, and all that. So what was that insignificant and individual party? Why would everybody be rallying against it? That's the question to ask ourselves. Number two, historically, people who are confessing their sins say that they tried buying opposition leaders and they succeeded in all except one that refused to be bought. So our history is clear. We have people who stand for the truth and they can pay the price to stand for them. Then we have collaborators who are there for the highest bidder. They can be bought, and then they camouflage. Some of the things we are dealing with here are not supposed to be causing it that they are causing. It's a fact. We either have a national party or we don't have. A spirited effort to make a strong party look weak, or make a national party look tribal or look individual, is part and parcel of our politics, which in my opinion is unhealthy. If you are tall enough, grow taller. You don't have to cut everybody's so that they all become short, you become the tallest man in the society. So thank you very much for all of you that are making their contribution, but please let's reserve to the 2 minutes with the chance. I left before Mulumbu made submission. I don't think he has done. So I'll give Ham to do the response. From there, we
I'm done.
follow
I'm not done yet.
the order.
I'm not done yet.
I'm not done yet. Okay.
I
So
just want
from
to give a
from Ham,
clarification, please.
we go to Ham uko na mbio.
I really need to respond to Fred.
Goja. You respond, then Mulumbu, then back before another person. Thank you.
Okay. Fred Kasuti. First, I wanted to make 2 clarifications. One, we don't want to bring a debate of where you are responding from or where you are not responding from. We are all Kenyans. Let us make that clear. 2, Fred, the reason I responded to your question, you were diverting from the today's order, which in our parliament we can call it white paper order. Kenya parties, politics, national parties, tribal outfit, and personal property parties. That is our white paper for today. I felt you were diverting away from that agenda by bringing the economy and the individualism of championing the economy of Kenya by dragging the leader of ODM into this forum. That's why I was coming in to correct and stop it, that you don't go that route, because we were not talking about that. And that was my clarification I just wanted to make. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It goes to Mulumbu.
Okay. Thank you,
I
guys.
think I'll respond when my times come.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Good evening, or good afternoon for some, like me. According to the matter of today, I have only 3 things to say, though I'm not professional in it, in politics. But according how I grew in Kenya and how I've seen from Kanu onwards to today, there's a lot of things that they are not working for us. And you know, this problem is being brought us with our leaders. All this problem is brought by our leaders that are elected there to the offices to lead the country and to lead the people of Kenya to a destination that can grow the people of Kenya. But kwa kutojua ama wanajua, because they know, and because they know how wako learned, they are the one that wanatunga sheria, so they do their favor that favors them so that they can sit there and eat with their families. This sheria wakitunga hawatungi ya kwamba ina cover the whole country with everybody in the country, because we must have a government. The parties have to be under the government, because the parties are being made under the people that selected the government. So those parties can help the government to govern the country. To my short knowledge, because a government, those people that sat in the office and they regulate, they made the laws. Those laws that was supposed to govern these parties. For example, there was KANU, it fought for the independence and we got independent. And the same people, they put the laws that could allow any party to only KANU, Baba na Mama. And it came, wakafanya nini? Wakatoa section 2A, wakaachilia vyama vingi. Wakati walitengezea sheria wakasema kwamba chama yafaa kiwe kimoja, there was a law. Wakati walipoachilia, kwa nini aweka window nyingine? Kama hata tukiachilia party, the most we can go is such amount of party. We don't need so many party, because tuko tribes mingi, italeta tribalism. They left that window for themselves. So sasa ndio nasema serikali yafaa iwepo iregulate. Wezi niambia kwamba the registrar ndiye anaweza weka sheria. The registrar, hao watu walipewa hizo law ready to register hizo vyama. They were given those laws, but after they were tengenezwa zikapewa serikali. Registrar is also under the government. Ikiregister vibaya government itawapeleka kotini. So there is a problem there. These people, we call them professional lawyers that make these areas. They do for themselves to benefit them. So when you go there, we just go back to there. Those people that are in the office, they made these laws. And the other thing, a country has to have a national party. A national party is not about to be driven by individuals. It's supposed to be driven by members. For you to become a president, you are supposed to be selected by members. Because when you are the member in the party, that's where you show how you can, yani utaonyesha ukakamavu wako na vile unaweza ongoza nje, vile utatapaka nchi yote, then you bring ideas in the party how the country, you can govern the country. Then these people will sit down and say, this is the person. You not be alone, mtakuwa wengi ambao mtatoa hii ideas. Then you are mnaweka kwa nini, kwa ratili. Kila mtu atoa ideas yake. Mwenye atashinda atakuwa na idea mzuri, ndiye atakuwa selected. We have a problem with Africans because they call democracy. Walipewa democracy, that's they just jump in. Vile mnaenda kuoga ndani ya mtoni. Everybody jump in it. That's why they jump in. Everybody comes to the basket of chama, knowing that he's going to kuvuna maembe pia bebe ndani yake. But there must be a law. This chama yafaa iwe chama ni ya wananchi. There must be professional members of that chama. They lead the chama. If you want, come and bring your manifesto, tuambie, basi utolewe nje, nenda usungumza na wananchi, sell your manifesto, chama itachagua who is the best. That's why you see America, it goes, because when the selection, what wanatoka kwa Democrat hata 20. Kila mtu anasela idea yake. The same chama. Mpaka itapatikana pale the best person for the country to lead the chama. Remember, there is a government. If there's a chama, there is a government. Once you umekuwa selected, then the government takes you. Sasa chama inakuwepo na members wake sasa to govern the country, but there is a government. Remember when Trump came, he came as an individual, but sasa the public wakajaribu kuangalia, there was nobody that can compete. Ikabidi wakae chini wa accept na chama imchukue imwendorse. Naona, so we Kenya, we tend to know that we tumesoma sana, tumesoma zaidi, and we are doing nothing. We are doing things opposite. Democracy has a limit. According to my short knowledge, democracy, it has its limit. Sio kama mtu amefungua democracy sasa kila mtu anaenda tichwa, hata kama unakuwa boma yako. There must be a law. So ukizaa watoto, si kila mtu anatoka na rungu, huyu anaenda kujenga mahali anataka, huyu anakuja na hii. There must laws so that boma inaweza simama. Wewe achilia kila mtu anatoka na yake huku na yake, it can't work. So for Kenya to develop, we have to go back to the drawing board. Hii mambo ya vyama vingi hii tuko na watu tribes nyingi, it's not helping Kenya. This for them themselves. Somebody anaenda tengeza chama basi anakuja kubageni nayo, anasimama nayo. Nobody has selected him for his beneficiary. We need chama inaongoza na wanachama wake. For you to stand, they have to scrutinize you. What do you know about the country? For example, Obama akija kusema hakuja na chama yake, did he come si chama? No, he started from the ground within the Democrat. Na akasema sera zake mpaka akabiti wale opponents mpaka akakuja chama na this the right person the chama the country.
Bernard Mulumbu, I want you, nataka upumue kidogo. I want to ask you a question, sir.
Okay, sisi bado naendelea mbele, I can breathe from there. So umepata point yangu. I was supposed to go along.
But what happened?
I want Mulumbu to slow down. I want to ask him a question as he gives us wisdom. Now, I wanted to tell our elder brother Mulumbu that democracy is an us, if I may use the American language. It is a philosophy that was formulated on the Greek philosophy. It is actually the Greeks who are fundamentally the foundation of the democracy that we are trying to practice around the world. They are a very unfortunate glaring areas in the formation of democracy from Greek that unfortunately we must live with. One, it says, if 20 fools exist in a society and there are only 4 or 5 wise men, democracy dictates that what the fools will decide, the wise men will also be involved in that. That will be a decision. You cannot challenge them because they are not smart, or they are not what, because democracy is about numbers. You have 50 idiots who never went to any, any level of getting experience or education or what. And then you have 5 people who are highly exposed. The decision that is made with the 50 idiots is what carries the day, and that's what we call democracy, unfortunately. So, Mulumbu, I just wanted you to know this as you finish, because I was coming next. Let me not eat much of your time. Thank you.
Yes, what you have said is right. But remember, when the 50 idiots selects, but they're going to give the one who is wiser to lead them. So the wiser, when they give the 50, give the wiser is going to use, because the 50 idiot they gave, but what they is not the most right one, but he's going to use his wisdom to make them understand what they were doing is like it was not right, to put them the right way. That's why when I select somebody, those they cut together. That's why I'm talking about the members of the chama, the owner of the chama. those 50 idiots we are talking about. When they select you, it's you to lead them where they're supposed to go. And if you don't lead them well, they take you away and put somebody else. But sasa tukiachilia, kila kona inakuja na chama, every day is na chama. Somebody kuja na anasema akishasimamia yeye ndio anasema everything. Even the 50 idiots, they have no say. So kwa ufupi ndio nasema ya kwamba hata demokrasia tunasema bado sisi hatuijui. We don't understand it. To my knowledge, we don't understand it, because if it was we understand it, hii vitu ambavyo inafanyika katika nchi yetu, we could have sit down that same hapana, we have to put a limit, because there must be a limit somewhere. Hakuna demokrasia imekuachia uende ufanye kila kitu unataka. There must be a limit. That's why kuna laws, ukivunja unafungwa, ukivunja unalipa fine. Why? Ikia kuna limit, ukifika hapa lazima kuna nini, ukipita hii ukifanya ni makosa. Kwa nini sasa ingine ifunguliwe na iwe watu wanatapakana nayo kila mahali? There must be something to be done. Thank you.
Patrick, if you can come on and please let's limit ourselves to the 2 to 3 minutes so that we have Joe and we have Jack Indupay on the line. Let's ensure that we don't keep them too long. Thank you.
Bernard, you are very strict when it comes to me. Well, you should explain why. That's being
because you are among the wise, not the 50. I don't take that to be anything against anybody. I'm only
Bernard is right.
We had a meeting today and he did not time.
Bernard is right.
So I'm only
one of the individuals we need you to host this show.
God's afraid.
Bernard is right, because you are one of the individuals we need to.
They are eating my time, Bernard. Protect me.
No, I'll give you sufficient time, Fred. The rest of the panelists, there's nothing against anybody. My heart is pure. I'm only saying, me and Pat have something else to go. So I'll be strict on him because I'm his boss somewhere. So that is my bent. It's just for sake of the flow of everything. So Patriot, 3 minutes, make it for the bonus.
Thank you. But in case I lose words, then I can do it 2 minutes. Well, I'll appreciate. I don't know how much will come out today. So thank you so much, my fellow panelists, comrades, and it's always a pleasure to have you together with us here. And we want to thank God for the opportunity that He always gives us to share the knowledge that is bestowed in our lives. We are also blessed to have our leaders like Jakendu Bey. I'm happy to see you. It's been a while. This is a great blessing, and Mlumbu, of course. So I want to say, it is really a great opportunity for us to have this. It is very rare that we get opportunities of this kind where we share our knowledge, exchange, understand our tribal affiliations, our small parties, big parties, and this makes us a country, and that's why we are Kenya. So my submission about today's topic will go as follows. There is nothing wrong in having village parties. There is nothing wrong like having regional parties. There is nothing wrong like having national parties. But the thing that is very, very important that we can't lose focus and attention onto is this. Before a party becomes national, it must be a party that is associated with some village elder, in quotes, you must have some regionalism in the party that you're building, because politics is local. You cannot have parties, for instance, from Nairobi, and you're talking about politics of Bungoma. It must be political formation that captures the aspiration of a village before you drum up support to include other villages that makes a nation. So it is clear that we must, appreciate the fact that this country is a multi-party democracy. Multi-party democracy means you can have as many parties as you want. We can compete as many parties as it can be in as far as registration is concerned. One thing you need to know that all the parties that exist in this country have been registered. They pay tax. There is revenue that comes with those parties. It's not as simple as Mlumbu put it, that you just everybody, Tom and Dick and Harry, is coming up with parties. There's a wage, there's a wage bill that goes with the sustainability of those parties, the registration. It is a process, and the government has to get revenue for people who think they can be leaders tomorrow, even when they don't make it. That process in itself is a process that is highly financial income, to the country, and we need it. So it is not wrong to have parties, regardless of how you want to talk about them. There could be a party for the Mlembe Nation, a party for the Kushites, the Nilotes, whatever. But when you look at our Kenyan laws, the formation of a party, when it comes to registration, it has to have the face of the nation. You cannot have, for instance, all Luos as officials of a political party. It cannot never be registered. You must have, the face of the country aspired in the formation of your parties before it is registered and accepted. That's the other thing I wanted to bring out here. So then the other thing is, it is not wrong to say that some of these parties are people's properties. Yes, they are people's properties because they are vehicles that give the leaders and those who aspire to be leaders an opportunity to move with an identity, because a party gives an opportunity for persons to identify themselves, come up with manifestos that describes what they stand for in case they become leaders. So parties in this country are structured in that manner, and the laws of this country tend to define, the politics of this country to go that direction. So every party in this country, as long as it is compliant with the laws of the country, it is not wrong to call it whatever you call it. You can call it, village, you can call it tribal, you can call it what. But one thing that we must appreciate is the fact that all big parties today began at some point as small parties. They began as small parties. Nobody is alive today who is sitting as an adult who was never a child. Everybody was breastfed, apart from exceptional cases. Everybody went through that cycle. We must have been in our mother's wombs for 9 months. So let's not jam the gun. If a child is only 3 years, you don't expect him to play in a national football match. He cannot. His time will come. Let him grow up. He will begin from there. And at some point, he'll be that leader that you aspire. So, but the process at some point identifies parties as regional. They identify probably as tribal, and also people's property, because they must remain so. You must have the dictate of the ownership of a party for the party to thrive. Thank you so much. I think I've tried to summarize my point. Back to you, Bernard.
Thank you very much. If there is question straight to you, Joe, are you there? Joe one.
Joe me.
You are the only Joe I see. Welcome.
Who me? Eh?
Yes, you. Oh, are you doubting your name?
No, you said Joe one, and I think there's no Joe one today. Thank you, Bernard, for giving me this opportunity. Today, I want to say I like the topic. It's quite good. We are not hearing Ruto Raila. So today it's about the parties. Well, parties like just the former speaker said, it starts somewhere. What I don't agree with him is if he says we grow as from childhood to adulthood, and there's a time when we're 3 years we cannot play in the national team. Yes, then if we cannot play in the national team, then we are not national. We have to take it that until we become national. When we grow up and become national, we can play in the national team. That's when we can qualify as a national player. So in the country, we have so many parties. Just like he said, some are 3 years old, some are too young to be called national. So we can't classify them as national. Because for you to be classified as national, there must be some qualities that you must have. Like in our country now, you have to have a number of seats in at least maybe a number of counties. That's when you can call yourself national. But if the party has seats only within its county or region, then it cannot qualify to be national, definitely. And if you look across, I don't want to name the parties, you can know which parties are represented across uh, number of counties. No matter how big you think you are, but if you're not represented across several counties, you're not a national party. We have had parties like would have come, they're saying they are national. But I can assure you they're not national because if you look into the parliament, the elected leaders that they have in the parliament, it is not actually appearing as national. The other thing is the impacts that a team has is what qualifies it to be a national party. That means the agenda of the party, does it attract people across the country or it just attracts people within the locality? If it attracts people within the locality, then that is not a national party. It is actually a party of that region. You cannot qualify it as national. It might have the faces of people from across country just for the sake of registration at the political party's office. But that does not mean it represents the people across the country. Then the other thing is the structures that you have across the country. I'm going by what I said. Do you have followers across the counties? Then if you have followers across the country, then you must be having offices in those countries, in those county. And within those offices, you must be having your members within that office. Then that is a national party. But unakuta in Kenya, we have so many parties. Some don't even have a physical office. You can't call that a national party. A national party should have offices across several counties. Then again, also the ideals of the party, the ideology of the party. Does it attract people nationwide? Or it just attracts a tribal or a villagers? If it attracts the villagers only, then it is not a national party. The ideology must attract people across the country. That means people across the country have got the interest of what they are propagating. Whether you are in Western, whether you are in the coast, whether you're in Eastern or Central, people will be attracted to your ideology or what the party stands for. I have seen maybe like ODM is now going wider than it was before. It is the only party that comes close to a national party. Formerly, it didn't have members in Central, but right now I can see some members, some candidates in Central hoping to vie for seats under the ODM flag. So it is growing, and maybe it's the only party that I can say resembles a national party. Then some of these parties, if I go away from that, some of these parties are as strong as their leaders, what their leaders stand for. We can have commercial parties like the ones we said, like PNU. It attracted people just because it was headed by President Kibaki at that time. But soon after President Kibaki was not in the political field, they died. So it shows that it was not actually a national party. It was just something that is attracting people who are not even standing with that ideology. They just want a way of getting into power or favors. Because some of the people that follow parties are not actually political. They're not politicians. They're businessmen. They want to support that party so that they can get favors from the government. But you see, something like I was saying, ODM resembles a national party. ODM has never been in the government apart from one time the coalition government. But you see, it has attracted people. That means it's attracting people because of the ideology, not because of business or anything, just the ideology. So some of these parties are just as strong as the leaders, what the leaders stand for. Even ODM, I'm afraid, I can foresee if they get another leader apart from Raila, because you have not seen any other leader in ODM that strong for what they believe in, it also might go under. So just like the earlier speaker said, that actually the parties, if they can outlive their leaders, that means if they have structures, they have an ideology, they have some programs of bringing up the youth and telling them what their ideology stands for, and the youth believe in that, then they can outlive their leaders, because the doctrine will have been put on the upcoming youth. So without the leader or not, they'll come up with those ideologies. But without that, I'm sorry, most of these parties will go down as soon as their leaders go down. That's what I can say for now. Thank you, Bernard.
Okay, thank you so much. That's clear enough. Can we hear from Jakindu Bay?
Asante sana Bernard, na wote kwa ujumla. Nimefurahi sana. Nilikuwa nataka kwenda mahali, lakini wakati nilisoma hiyo topic parties, niko inaniudhi ama inaniuma sana nikiangalia, yani ni kitu ambacho niko very passionate juu ya hii mambo ya mapati. Mimi naweza kusema kwamba kitu ambacho mimi nasema kila siku, nasema na nikisema watu wanaiona kama saa zingine labda hai make sense. Nikisema sisi kwa kweli mimi nikiangalia kwa ujumla, sisi wa Afrika kuna uvivu fulani tunayo, uvivu, yani hatutaki kuchukua tough decision. Tunataka zile vitu rahisi, unaona, rahisi, kwa sababu hata ukiangalia mambo ya parties na mambo ya hii demokrasia, sisi tumechukua bila kukaa chini tukajiuliza hii kitu inatusaidia kwa njia gani sisi kama tuseme kama Wakenya ambapo tuko na makabila nyingi. Hii parties nyingi itatusaidiaje na tunaweza kuitumia kwa njia gani iwe nzuri kwetu? Kwa sababu ukisha sema ni demokrasia imeachwa tu kiholela, kila mtu anaanzisha party, na ukiangalia kila mtu ameanzisha hizo party zinaleta mgawanyiko, ukiziangalia ni za kikabila tu, unaona. Sasa hiyo inatushinda kufanya jambo ambalo linasaidia nchi kwa ujumla. So ndio maana nasema tunapenda tu kuchukua kitu rahisi kwamba tumeambiwa demokrasia. Sasa zingine mimi huona kama hii demokrasia ni uchawi fulani wazungu walitusukumia baada ya kupata uhuru, wakatuambia, kwa sababu baada ya sisi kupata uhuru wazungu walikaa hawakutusukumia mambo mengi. Tulikuwa tunasema tuna pati moja, wazungu hawakutusumbua sana, lakini baadaye wakasema hapana, hii pati moja si nzuri, muwe na multi party. Unaona, wakatusukumia hiyo multi party. Hiyo multi party inatusumbua mpaka leo, hatujajua namna kuitumia. Unaona, sisi tumeichukua tu kwamba multi party democracy, na ukilinganisha demokrasia ambayo inafanyika kwa nchi za kizungu na nchi zetu ni tofauti. Wao wako na advantage. Kama ni Ujerumani, ni Wajerumani tu. Kwa hiyo hata wakianzisha vyama vingapi, mtu ataiona tu ni chama. Lakini sisi ukitusukumia hiyo vyama, Mulumbu akianzisha chama, labda utaona ni watu kutoka sehemu ya kwao ndio wako wengi. Na hata sasa mnaona ile vyama vingi ambavyo vipo Kenya, nyingi tu ziko na watu ambao utaona kwamba yule kiongozi wa hiyo chama mahali anatoka ndio kabila yake ndio wako wengi pale. So hiyo inaleta matatizo, na mimi ninachowaja kusema kwamba ile kitu ambacho naona inaturudisha nyuma ni kwamba, nikisema hii, sisi wote tunataka vitu rahisi, yani vitu vya sasa hii. Hatupendi kujenga, kama tuseme kama hizi vyama, hatupendi kujenga hizi vyama, kwa sababu hizi vyama lazima zijengwe na wanachama lakini unakuta kwamba wanachama hawapendi kujenga, kwa sababu asipochaguliwa anatimua mbio, anasema hiyo chama sasa ni mbaya. Mwenye chama, unaona, analaumu yule mkubwa wa chama kwamba huyo mwenye chama mtaki. Lakini mimi sioni katika ulimwengu sehemu gani mtu anapewa kitu ya bure. Lazima kila kitu tunapigania. Hata mtoto akizaliwa mpaka alie ndiye anapewa matiti, asipolia apewi. Unaona, kwa hizi vyama, kama tungekuwa na uwezo wa kuzijenga, ingekuwa ni jambo la busara. Kwa mfano, naweza kusema hivi, kwa saa hizi kuna magavana wengi sana ambao tuseme kama kwa ODM, magavana ambao wamemaliza tamu zao inafaa ni wakati huu ndio wakati wa wao kujenga chama. Lakini unakuta kwamba hawa watu wengine wanataka kuanzisha vyama vyao. Unaona, sasa hiyo ni nchi gani mtakaa kila wakati mnaanzisha vyama? Mwisho zitakuwa hazina maana. Unaona, kwa hiyo hizi vyama zinatakikana sisi wenyewe tuzijenge, bila kuwa kwamba unakuwa kwa hii chama, ukisha hiyo chama ikisha kufanya uchaguliwe, basi una haja nayo tena. Sasa ikiwa namna hiyo, hizi vyama haviwezi kuwa vya national, vile tunasema kwamba hizi party tunataka ziwe national, lazima zijengwe. Kwa hiyo lazima tuwache mambo, lazima tuangalie kwamba hizi vyama tuzijenge kwa muda mrefu. Chama inajengeka kwa muda mrefu, hakuna kitu inajengwa tu leo kesho ni sawa. Kwa sababu hata tukichukua kama ODM imekuwa na changamoto nyingi sana, lakini bado ipo. Inatakikana sasa wanachama waijenge, wale ambao hiyo chama imewasaidia kuchaguliwa, magavana, wabunge. Mtu akichaguliwa kuwa mbunge, hiyo chama imekusaidia, inatakiwa uijenge, kwa sababu usipoijenga itajengwa na nani? Hizi vyama zinatakiwa tuzijenge, ndio ziwe vyama ambavyo zitaonekana za national. Tusipozijenga zitabaki tu za kijiji ama za kikabila kama vile zilivyo saa hizi nyingi. Chama ambacho labda unaweza kusema inajaribu kujengwa, mimi naona ni ODM, imejaribu kujengwa kwa misingi ya demokrasia, lakini hata hiyo demokrasia ambayo tunasema inajengwa ina changamoto nyingi sana kwa ODM. Manake wale watu ambao huwa wanachama hawapendi kushindwa na hawapendi kujenga, wanataka tu kazi rahisi ya kuchaguliwa, basi mambo kwisha. Kwa hiyo mimi maoni yangu ni kwamba inafaa hizi vyama, hata kama tunasema tunazitaka hizi vyama, lazima tuchunguze hizi vyama vinatusaidia kwa njia gani, kwa sababu hizi vyama zinafanya katika hata hizi vyama zenyewe hakuna discipline. Mtu hata kama amekosa hataki kuwa disciplined, hataki kuchukuliwa hatua, hataki kufuata sheria. Akichukuliwa hatua kwamba amefanya makosa, anahama, anasema sasa anaenda kwa chama kingine, na hicho chama kinamchukua bila kuangalia kwamba amefanya makosa. Unajua tukifanya hizi vitu bila kufuata bila kutii kufuata sheria, hakuna kule tunaenda na hizi vyama. Asanteni.
Okay, thank you, Jack Kindube. Themba, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Why are you keeping James on the wall and he's asleep?
Has he told you so? He's meditating.
Yeah. You can have him put the curtain so that he meditates pole.
Sawa, hebu changia tuanze hata kufika station kwa sababu tumeanza kulala.
Yeah. Good evening, Jack Kindube, Joe, and Patriot.
Good evening to you. That's good evening from Nairobi. Good morning from elsewhere.
And evening to you from Nairobi.
Now, political parties is an interesting thing. You know, Bernard, we need to appreciate. First, the political parties in Kenya were regulated by the Societies Act. It was until 2007 when now we had the Political Parties Act. Initially, they were just associations, you know. So associations initially were happening within people who are from the same locality. But as democracy developed in 2007, there was need now to have a regulation, which is now the Political Parties Act that came into being. But of course, when it happens, it carries with itself the previous hang-ups, right? So issues of trusts, issues of the reason why you form a political party still came even with the formation of other political parties. So it was basically started as a means to seek power. And at some point, it was not necessary to seek power. Some people started registering parties to make money. You know, you register a political party and wait for the time that will come when people will need vehicles to go to, or when they'll be mistreated. Then you sell your party to the highest bidder. So my submission is that we will require like some cycles of elections until the current crop of leadership is out to truly see national parties. KANU would have achieved that. But a few internal wrangles that threw Uhuru out of it made it lose that mark, because it had gone through some cycles and the people who were initial leaders were already getting out. So it was acquiring that nationalistic approach. So if it continued like that, probably would have seen a better representation of a national party, just like Chama cha Mapinduzi in Tanzania and ANC in South Africa. So for now, we will require some cycles of voting and elections for us to see a truly national political party. And for that to happen, someone was saying that, why do we form parties? I think it's an interesting balance, because the law provides for, if you qualify, the political parties is one that registers. So we cannot fault people for forming parties. That is their constitutional right, because it is the Political Parties Act that decides who qualifies. But now, development of political parties to achieve, because even the Americas that we are trying to compare ourselves with, it took several years for them to achieve that. If you read the initial development of political party system in the US, you'll realize they had many parties until they realized that, okay, fine, with all this, we can have these two different ideologies that we can align ourselves to. So I think in Kenya, we are still at that stage of development. It will take a few cycles for us to achieve that. But of course, there's a semblance of that, like ODM has achieved some length. What we want to see is beyond the current leaders, like for example, beyond Raila. Can ODM stand a few cycles of voting? If it can stand that, then now we can confidently say that it has achieved that longevity, and it has moved beyond the person who started it, and now the philosophy has sunk into a wider people. But as of now, political parties, as the topic suggests, are more of, because you can actually predict. You go to Wiper, it is the leaders, the party leaders, who kind of have a direct say on. There's one person who has the final say. If you read the Chama cha Mapinduzi, if you followed closely Chama cha Mapinduzi process when Magufuli became the presidential candidate, they have different structures that even decide who becomes a presidential candidate. So there's no particular person who stands and says. In the ANC case in South Africa, you remember even the structure sat and they recalled Thabo Mbeki, and even they recalled Zuma. So which political party right now can sit and recall their president? That, for example, if Uhuru is the president right now and he does something that the party does not agree with, Jubilee, its structure should be in a position to meet and recall him and front for someone else. You see, such a kind of a thing wouldn't happen even for ODM, to the extent that if Raila goes, if something happens in 2 years, we cannot sit back and say the structure meets to recall him, So that shows the kind of development that we are yet to achieve in as far as political parties are concerned. So the political party is the individual. And now the reason that is happening is because the individual is the greatest financier of the party. You see, so if you're talking about Wiper, the financier is Kalonzo. You're talking about ANC, the financier is Mudavadi. If you're talking about whichever party, even UDA, the financier is Ruto. So if he's not financing it, he withdraws, then also the finances dwindle. So those are some of the challenges that we are facing. So I don't think we can confidently, when we say parties are tribal, it is a political statement. because for a party to be registered, if you go to Political Parties Act, it says you shouldn't be, progressing religious, ethnic, the way it puts it. So, but for us to come out and say that the party is tribal, it is a way of trying probably to acquire political mileage when we are saying that. So for me, I think it's more of a political statement than, yes, most political parties are basically the properties of the financier. And that's our, is it bad? No, it's not bad, because it's a process of development. A time will come after about maybe 2 or 3 generations of voting, when these leaders are gone, Kalonzo Musyoka is no longer the leader of Wiper, ANC is no longer led by Mudavadi, and then of course now we have structures within those parties now, moving. If the party can survive that, then now we can say that this party has acquired a national outlook and it can survive many elections. Having said that, there's someone who said, I think Jakindube, who said that political parties members become unruly. There's nothing that come out. The law is clear, but now there's a part that the law says that how someone can leave a political party. One of them is if the person is deemed to have left. But now deeming the person to implement that the constitution or the law does not come out clear. Who implements the person who has been deemed? So where there's a loophole, then all politicians take advantage of, and that's probably the confusion where we find ourselves in as at now. But hopefully, in a few elections to come, the Kenya will start having developed political activity. I'm pro as many parties as you can form, but of course we see how they grow to form a robust democracy. Now, someone argued, and this is basically in comparison to the Chinese style, that when you compare Chinese kind of political system and the Western US style of political system, Chinese have laughed at the Western style, US style, because they say that controlled democracy, directed democracy is good, as opposed to, where it's free for all. So that is something that scholars are arguing about, and people are starting to see the benefit of either. That's my contribution for now.
Okay, thank you, Themba. I will ask you a question on because where we are right now as a nation is that, in my opinion, we have not had multi-party democracy developed. It was just accepted and then assimilated, and the midwife did not want the child to grow. So made sure that it is malnourished so that it does not take off. And then we have had successive insecure governments whereby they would do anything to see to it that the other parties remain weaker so that they continue being strong. Don't you think we need a more secure government, some leadership that believes in a healthy multi-party democracy, whereby they are not threatened by the thriving of other political parties, but create an environment that helps the democratic space and the democratic development to proceed? Because from the look of things, we seem to be trapped into that initial stage. We have never grown to maturity.
That's a very good question, and the way I would answer it is this way. Ask you another question is, I like drawing parallels to different things, and one of them is a marriage. if you get married today to your wife, how do you ensure that the marriage is not interfered with? Number one, do you put rules for your wife not to go out? You tell her, I don't want to see you going out. I don't want to see you talking to so and so. I don't want you to do this. Or do you provide the necessary grounds for her to thrive? And in the event that she has to choose which one is best, she remains with you. The reason I'm asking that as a parallel is that you cannot reinforce whether a country is going to pick, you cannot reinforce that you must have only two political parties. Number two, you cannot reinforce that you must stay in one political party. What you can do is that as political parties grow, they form structures. So the individuals, therefore, inside of them, choose to belong in one party or another. Right? Now, the question that look at Tanzania, for example. During the last election, Magufuli used the state power to stifle the development of the opposition. Remember, he did not kill the opposition, but he made the environment very hard for the opposition to thrive in a fair competition. So that goes back to the point I gave earlier that, the environment, we are still having hang-ups of our development process where we thought the state and the party is one and the same thing. So the party in power uses the state resources to keep it in power. In developed democracies, the party in power does not use the state resources to keep it in power. All right? So I want to submit that will we come at a point where we achieve what you're saying? Yes. As the development within the political parties and the parties create necessary environment for their members to still remain within them. But as we are right now, the challenge is, Bernard, you cannot separate the state and the party. And that's one for political scholars. They studied under party-state relationship. For example, I want to give you an example where when they were going to use when they were going to the BBI, and some of the PCs and DOs, were being used to progress the interest of the state. And they were continuously reminded that you are state officers. So what is the state position? How do you differentiate the state position and the party position? And that has been inherited from KANU. You remember KANU stayed for long because KANU was chama cha baba na mama, and you used to be forced to close shops to go because the president is passing by the chiefs. So we will achieve that, but the moment we start, as we move on and parties start gaining a sense of independence and create structures, and then we start seeing the demarcation between party and state, whereby when the president has been elected, he's no longer a Jubilee president. All right? So he remains a state president, but under Jubilee party, but is not progressing the ideas of Jubilee or ODM for that matter. So parties should create an environment to make their members remain with them, not necessarily block other parties from taking their members, if you get what I'm saying.
I agree.
Okay, Demba, I want to ask you a question based on your submission. At one point, you said that the political registration in this country, Kenya, cannot be said tribal because they have a political parties act that regulates that. Do you think the political parties act regulates this? Because I've seen so many parties being registered just because they have different people from different regions or communities or religion. But when you look at the officials themselves that have been selected across the country, they actually don't know even the constitution of that particular party. This shows that they have actually been picked up by somebody who had the idea, like me. And I come and pick different people from different religions and different communities and represent them at the Political Parties Act office for registration. Now, that is paperwork. But inwardly, you'll find that the officials that I've represented don't know even the party constitution. I'm asking that because I have seen this one happening. And then number two is, whose responsibility is it to make sure that these people ascribe to that political ideology? Is it the Political Parties Act office, or is it the party itself? Because if I was to form a party, I think I should get people who are with or supports my ideology or what I want to do with this political party before I represent them to the Political Parties Act office. So who has the responsibility? Is it the owner of the party or the political office? That's what I wanted to ask. The two questions.
Okay, question number one is, the Political Parties Act and the Political Register of Political Parties works with what you submit. Then they do their due diligence. What do they need? They need the party constitution, the party nomination rules and elections rules, manifesto, the other policy documents, strategic plan, names and contacts and details of party officials, and the budget. So once you submit that to them, first of all, you have provisional registration and then full registration. They do their work. Now, once you have submitted that to them, that's when now they do their verification and they register you. Now, you definitely can provide that. Now, who has the mandate? According to the law, how you're supposed to manage, every political party in Kenya must have national character, democratically elected governing body, promote, uphold national unity, abide by the democratic principle, respect the rights of all persons, respect and promote human rights, and respect and promote gender equality and equity. Now, those are what is expected. For as long as you're doing that, you'll still remain within the registration. However, internal governance of the party is governed by its own constitution. Now, there's something that I wish to say. In the Political Parties Act, how do you cease to be a member of a party? One, resignation, expulsion, through deeming, and natural attrition like death. Now, if you resign from a party and you can show cause that you actually resigned, you're not a member of that party. There's one that is very hard, like the act of laying off grounds when a member can be deemed to have resigned. For example, forms another political party, joins formation of another political party, joins another political party, in any way, manner, form, publicly advocates for the party. Now they say this responsibility is vested on the political party, taking into account any party constitution. But you see, because of unfairness, they also have political parties tribunal, and someone can say, okay, who is it that is deeming? So it is not explicitly indicated. So to your question on who is to implement, is a political party using its constitution. So it's the one supposed to regulate its own work with its constitution, which is it has deposited at the political parties, register of political parties. Now, on the issue of tribal is generally a term that comes in for, in my view, rhetoric. When you want to kill other parties, you say they are tribal parties. All the parties in this particular country will be having a particular person from a particular ethnic group. So you can say all parties are ethnic. But we must say this in the face of it, because when you say that this person is coming from this, as long as you can prove that people don't come from the same place, if you're coming from if you're a Luya and you stay in Mombasa, do we treat you as a Luya or we treat you as a person from Mombasa? You see?
It is what we want to see.
So you want to choose that, okay, fine, because he's called Bernard Wafula and he's in ANC, he's from Mombasa. Yet Bernard Wafula could be coming from somewhere in Majengo, So when you see people trying to say that, okay, fine, this is a tribal party, it's more of a political way of trying to, to hit other people. However, we must say our political party development is still, we are still probably at the early stages. KANU would have achieved that, but it was bedeviled with what bedeviled it. So we lost that opportunity. We have been having a party that is national and with structures that is more, that has longevity, but it lost it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, me, I don't believe that the political parties office, they do diligence on the applications. I don't think it's done, because if it was done, they could not be coming up with closing some other parties now that they claiming that they don't have a physical office. How did they register that party in the first place when they didn't have a registered, a physical office? So I think most of these things are just paperwork, as we are saying. There's nothing that goes behind that. It is just paperwork so that you conform to the requirements, and that's it. Nothing is done beyond that. Because right now they could not be saying that they're closing some parties or they're deregistering some parties because they don't have a physical offices. This proves that they didn't do the due diligence that they was required for them to do. So that is that. Me, I believe that. You can't take me outside of that one.
Joe, in Nairobi, we have offices for hire. So if all they want is physical office, when it's office for hire, I take it for 5 hours. You come and vet me inside, take photographs. I go, I paid my 5 hours. I'm gone forever. I think I agree with the root of once. There is that aspect of using an independent office to fight political wars. I think at times we use the register of political parties to fight political wars by ensuring that we eliminate the parties we don't want and then uphold the ones we want, and probably avoid the ones that we can't fight. But all in all, our history is clear. We are suffering from our historical injustice of ideology that was perpetuated for 24 plus years of one-party state, and that has, having lasted with us for 24 plus years, it cannot be just rooted out that way. It will be interesting also to note that it wasn't until Kibaki time that party funding was done, and then things like that. So we have not had a government that is really for enhancing political party politics to make it work. We have had government after government which were out to frustrate other political parties and make it impossible for them to mature, and so makes it easy for them to transfer. In fact, this issue of tano yangu, I mean, this issue of 2 terms and then you will have 5, then 5. The really problem comes on that a second term, okay? It has been almost created in such a way that you will have to get your second term. So when you win presidency the first term, you work out everything to see to it that you don't lose the second term. Now, that also has a way of affecting our party politics, because this party that you used to get into power the first term can either be a good vehicle to give to earn you the second term, or you need to craft something else to help you get the second term. So I think our legislators need to do something about the process through which political parties are established. The registrar of political parties also needs to be taken to task to see to it that only political parties that meet required threshold are registered. We don't have to have 85 political parties. I think from the last information I had was 85 political parties, and these 85 political parties, it might not. It's a requirement that for you to qualify as a political party for registration, you need to get 1 million signatures. Is it 1 million signatures or 100,000? So if we have 85,000 85,000 political parties, and we have 49 million, these signatures, are they not intertwined and being changed? We have 19 million voters, yet 85 political parties with 1 million signatures each. Something is wrong somewhere. Naomba tufunge stesheni. Kuna swala?
Yeah. No, sina swala. We are growing.
Thank you. Themba, give out some shout outs tuondoke hapa.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Penegaka, David Olo, Martins Wilson, Daniel Ogueno, Eric Masia, and Asili2 TV, I know Wino, Dixon Agoi, Felix Babu Waruto, Oliver Mwashi, and all the rest, both in Facebook and the YouTube. We really appreciate your presence. See you again when we wake up in Kenya. It's always a pleasure. Remember to subscribe to Mutembei TV. Always good for us to talk, because they say once you stop talking, you start fighting. We are Kenyans first, as Bernard will tell us. Yeah, thank you so much. See you again.
True. Thank you, everyone. Let's do this again some other time later on.